This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
To all who come to this nerdy show, welcome. Baconsale Podcast is your podcast. Here, age relives fond memories of the past, and here the millennial may savor the challenge and promise of eventually knowing what Joel and Kent are talking about. Baconsale is dedicated to the ideals, dreams, and the hard facts of movies, music, and food, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the internet. Thank you.
Wow, Zach, that was oddly beautiful yet unenthusiastic at the same time.
Yes,
because that is the audio recording of Walt
dedication
Disney.
of the Disneyland.
You were doing the voice.
I did.
That was good.
Yeah.
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our Love Triangle show.
Yeah.
It sounded like a lust triangles. But hey,
Did it get warm in here?
bit.
Oh, my word.
Thank you.
No, it's freezing in here.
Todd Callan brought up a good one and said, one of my favorite love triangles growing up was Steve, Stefan, and Laura in Family Matters. Each week I would wonder if Steve would ever be good enough for Laura. Valerie Loveless Ilgith says, I love this episode, but I kept thinking that most of these characters need to take a break from dating and work on themselves. Then maybe the people at the top of the triangles would be able to know that they're actually looking for in a partner, and maybe the people at the base of the triangle would realize that they should just move on.
oh, we'll be having Dr. Matt do
I was
another
going to
follow-up
say,
show
like,
there.
that was really deep.
Yeah.
And then we follow up with KP Brown, who says, Ross Geller is the most annoying sitcom character of all time. Rachel is the second least likable character on the show. Let them be together and let all the fun characters hang out together. Are there any on Friends?
Phoebe's pretty fun.
Is there anything fun about Friends?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a very modern take.
But thank you, patrons, for your feedback. We love hearing from you. And speaking of love, we'd like to give some love to a new patron.
Nice.
Aww.
The patron's name.
Here we go.
Just going to read it as it's written here.
Right.
Cuckoo Cachoo, Mrs. Robinson. That's the name.
Oh,
Cuckoo
okay.
Cachoo, Mrs. Robinson. And she is a tier 1 fan. So she's going to get some behind the bacon stuff.
Awesome.
She's going to get the access to the bacon bits. And it's going to be a good time. Although we don't do many things with The Graduate on Baconsale. But
Save it for our
maybe
graduate
just
show.
like Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
Could be that. And
We have a guest.
Heyo!
Hey, guest. How's it going?
Hey, guys.
Josh.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this episode.
Thank you for finally joining us.
Yes, Josh is a member of the
It's
Bacon Council, and he's here to join us today. And
Been a while.
why don't you introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are?
Well, for those who don't know who I am, I'm a podcaster. I've podcasted quite a bit over the years. I have a couple of podcasts, The Party in the Back, and then this other show.
It's the other
The
show.
other show that I do with my friends Kenny and Spencer. I don't know if you know.
I'm not sure what I go by on that show. So
Who knows? And we don't half the time.
You're right.
Also, a huge Disneyland nerd.
Yeah.
To the point of that's where I met my wife a year ago. So
Beautiful story.
you didn't know this,
adorable.
but if you do pay enough, you can marry one of the cast members who's dressed as a Disney princess.
What
Wait,
tier
what?
of Fast Pass is that?
Which princess?
Any of them.
What? Really?
Yeah, Ken, have you not taken advantage of the Flynn Rider pass?
What? Guys, I'm going to Disneyland. Rapunzel, I'm coming your way.
Yes, we are a big fan of Disney. But before we get into that, Josh, as a guest here on our show,
Josh has never got the questions.
He's never got the questions, so we're going to have a series of questions for you.
Okay,
11
okay.
questions. And these are questions that are related to our show and Baconsale. So even if you don't have a strong opinion about them,
I'm just calling it now. He doesn't have a strong opinion about 70% of these.
well, even if you don't,
you know me too well.
just pick one and you'll make one of us very happy, one of us grumble.
Okay. It's like a BuzzFeed like quiz.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Basically
good at
find
those.
out if you're a Kent or a Joel.
Okay.
Let's start, shall we? Which is better, Karate Kid or Karate Kid 2?
Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm. Which is worse, Star Wars Episode 1 or Episode 2?
Oh, Episode 2.
Do you rate movies using stars or letter grades?
Probably stars.
Okay.
He doesn't know.
Which movie?
I like it or I don't.
Which is the more America movie, Rocky IV or Independence Day?
Independence Day.
Josh!
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
It's Halloween.
There we go.
Buffy or X-Files?
Oh, X-Files.
Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Considering I just watched the first Lord of the Rings, Star Wars.
Okay.
Ever?
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah, first time ever.
Wow. Which doesn't know?
Which movie is more Christmassy, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Die Hard.
People just don't know.
Obviously.
Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables?
Oh, Les Mis.
Okay.
Nice.
Labyrinth or Never Ending Story?
Never ending story.
Wonderful.
And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or 10 Things I Hate About You?
Oh, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah. Man, I think it tipped my way that
Oh,
way.
very much
which is
so.
unusual because I always thought you two were very much in line. In
Yeah.
fact, we were talking before the show how you've had basically the same life growing up.
Yeah.
Down to our trips to SeaWorld.
No longer friends. That's it.
But yeah, thank you, Josh, for
Yeah.
playing along. And
Thanks for
thank
being
you
here.
for joining us. But, that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
Well, we're talking about Disneyland
Let's
rides.
talk like this the whole time.
No.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
It's going to be so annoying.
Excuse you.
Yeah, so, guys, I can't actually do Donald Duck. But I can do Donald Duck with like a strep throat.
Wait, no, do that again. What was
Hold on.
that?
No, I'm embarrassed. But I can't actually make out any words.
Okay, wait.
Fun fact.
To set the
here we go.
stage.
Here we go.
Micro impressions
Ready?
are
Set the
my
stage.
favorite thing.
Ready?
Kent is going to do a Donald Duck
Oh,
impersonation.
it wasn't Donald Duck. No,
was
just kidding. It was. No. See, now I'm laughing too hard. Okay, here we go.
What was that?
That's pretty good, right?
Now that you've cleared your throat.
I have so much spit in my cheeks right now.
Now that you've cleared your throat, do you want to try doing a Donald Duck impersonation?
That's mean.
That was Donald Duck spitting out Listerine.
Zach, was that pretty good, though?
That's pretty good.
Wow. Okay, we've already derailed.
You guys had no idea that secret talent.
So we... seeing as how I recently just returned from my first Disneyland trip as an adult,
Yeah.
I had not been since the 90s previously to that.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about was we wanted to rank Disneyland rides. So we have 24 rides. We're going to be...
But there's more than 24.
There are?
So
Several.
You don't
How-
know that if you have kids.
How did we pick these 24?
We went in chronological order from when Disneyland began back in July 17th, 1955.
But we're not going through like the history, like this ride started. It's the rides currently still in motion.
Yes, if they're not currently at the park, we are not including them on
Right.
this list. So,
But it's surprising many are still there.
Yeah.
They're the OGs.
Some form of or
Yeah.
in some
another,
form.
yeah.
And most of them have had their updates and revamps, and that's fine and dandy. But we are going to be ranking 24 rides, which means we have 8 tier 1s, 8 tier 2s, and 8 tier 3s. I want to bring this up just as a kind of a precursor to everything. I can count the number of times I've been to Disneyland on one hand.
How many?
Because I went around the time I was 4.
Okay.
I went around the time I was probably about 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I went as an adult with my family just this year.
Unreal.
That's the only times I've been to Disneyland. So, you guys, though, I mean, Zach, you had a whole podcast dedicated to Disneyland.
I did.
know that.
56 episodes, don't
How
you
many,
know?
how many times would you say you've been to Disneyland?
I think I've been 8 times, 8 to 9 times.
Okay.
See, and I went 8 times just this past year.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I have some footage, to show, but
But you have like a season pass then?
yeah, I had a season pass that I bought, and
You live here in Utah.
live here in Utah. So I mean, it took some dedication for me to actually like pay for airfare and get down there, and I mean, it's the whole experience. But 8 times.
Wow, just this year.
Yeah, just
like
this
total,
year.
would you say like ballpark?
Total. Oh gosh, I'd probably say at least 30 to 40 times.
Wow.
I've never sat down to like go over each trip, but yeah, about probably 30, 40 times.
And Zach, are you in that ballpark, or are you
Oh, I've maybe been half a dozen times.
But
half a dozen, like 6?
but
Yeah.
the parks you've been to are more diverse, right?
Well, I've been to Walt Disney World in Orlando. I've been to Shanghai Disneyland as well. And and then I've been to Disneyland Paris. So like,
So it's an afterthought.
oh yeah, Paris.
I went to Paris.
That's
Euro
fun too.
Disney.
So yeah, I've been to some of the international ones, and obviously Walt Disney World. Only one time each to those, and so it was kind of like I'd go to Disneyland and then I'd go to another park.
What's the best?
Objectively, it's
Yeah.
Walt Disney World. And anybody who says otherwise is nostalgic. Because Disneyland itself is the most nostalgic park.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, like everything is just more refined in Disney World.
okay.
But they have been
It-
updating a lot of the Disneyland rides
Yeah.
to be matched kind of the Disney
Yeah.
World
you could,
ones.
You could argue that Walt Disney World lacks charm, and that's fine. But it's also a nicer place to be in. because
Okay.
the paths are wider, the queues are longer. You don't have to go in the worst back and forth switchback chains of Peter Pan.
Oh,
there's actually
yep.
a super nice line of Peter
Okay.
Pan in
Gotcha.
Florida.
Is
But
there such thing as a super nice line?
yes, it's awesome. There's several in Disneyland. We'll talk about them. But overall, I mean, you cannot deny the magic and charm of the original Disneyland. There is always something for a Disney nerd. I'm sure you probably agree, Josh. There's
yeah.
always something going, Walt was here. You know, that and Disneyland will always have that over any park.
Okay.
Because he
Walt
passed
was-
away, what, 20 years before?
Well, his head is frozen.
Well,
and
Walt
it
Disney
kept-
World opened up?
Where? Haunted Mansion?
Yes,
Pirates?
it's kept in the Haunted Mansion. Yes,
Okay.
it's the Hatbox Ghost.
They
Yes.
rotate it.
Yikes. That's horrifying.
Back and forth.
It's
Yeah.
a jokes on Baconsale. Oh, and I do have one more caveat, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Since I've only been 3 times, and since one of those times I barely remember because I was like a 4-year-old, I am adding a new tier, and it's called Tier X.
What?
Tier X for me are the rides that I have not gone on or that I don't remember going on. And so while I will never go over the 8, I may not reach 8 in some
Okay.
tiers.
Interesting.
You should have just gone to a YouTube video and guessed.
Oh, I watched all the ones I missed out on, and I was like, I can't really give a valid thing here because
I appreciate that. Yeah.
maybe it feels fun, but it doesn't look fun.
Right.
So yes, I have
can-
a Tier X on a number of these, and I won't tell you the number. You're just going to have to figure it out as I go.
I'll
along.
do the math here. I can confidently say I've ridden every ride on this list.
Yeah, same.
I've experienced every attraction on this list.
Yes, and we are going, for the record, we're going from opening day in 1955 up to 1995 with Indiana Jones when that was last built. And we did that just because that was the nice cutoff point of 24, so
Yes.
we could have a part 2 show later on if this goes well. And
I'm pretty sure people like Disney. We'll see. We'll see if people listen.
I'm pretty sure people are tired of it.
I'm pretty sure we're going to get sued.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yes, intellectual property is going to have fun time with this one on YouTube. But let's talk about Disneyland real briefly in general. Shall we? Briefly. Because I know there are podcasts out
Yeah.
there who are
Maybe
dedicated-
this isn't that podcast.
This
but
is kind of the
what do you
Cliff
got?
Notes version. So just from my point of view here. So people were writing letters to Walt Disney saying, hey, we want to come visit Walt Disney Studios. And he was like, well, it's just a functioning movie studio. There's not much to offer fans. So he decided he wanted to build a little site right there in Burbank next to the studio and say, this is a little fun place. We'll have a little fun place for people to play and have a good time. And soon realized, this isn't going to cut it. So then he got like a huge orange grove or walnut grove. I think it was orange and walnuts maybe, but this huge grove. So they started construction of this park in 1954, and then they had this press event on July 15th, 1955, which was, I did not know this. I was trying to figure out where in the timeline of Disney movies this happened. And I found out this happened just after Lady and the Tramp was released, but 4 years before Sleeping Beauty was released.
Really?
So
Okay.
that's where Disneyland is nestled in there in the Disney movie timeline, which is funny. There's no Lady and the Tramp ride, considering that was the one that like came out that year, like a month before Disney opened.
No, it's there. It's at the Italian place that you have to order noodles.
No, that's
and eat
just
it
something that
and
we
kiss
did.
somebody. Oh,
It's not an attraction.
Ew, I was
That
attracted
was
to
some
it.
attraction there.
Yeah.
But
And this was the only park that was designed by Walt Disney. He passed away before any of the others came about. But the opening day was a mess. There was a lot
Really?
of things that went wrong. Walt referred to it as Black Sunday. For example, they had to decide whether they were going to keep the toilets running or the water fountains running.
Oh no.
In opening day in 101-degree weather.
Oh no.
And they decided to let the bathrooms have the water. And so then there was no drinking fountains. And that really kind of bugged people. There was
Jeez.
like construction was still going on. There was people's heels were sinking into the tar that had just been laid on the roads. Like there was a lot that went wrong. You can read all about that.
Sure.
Like I said, I don't want to go too much into it. But then they had the second day and they tried to do it again and got it a little bit better that time. Disneyland has a larger cumulative attendance than any other theme park in the world, meaning it has had more visitors than Disney World.
Or Dollywood.
Or Dollywood,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Then we're going to do that.
only just.
Josh, I was going to say
Save
that
it
was
for
my
our
very
Dollywood
brief
show.
history. I know you're the big fan
Please.
here.
No, that's great. I mean, those are the highlights you really want to know about Disneyland.
Yeah, and I was just amazed that that terrible beginning has endured all these years and expanded multiple countries.
Right.
I shouldn't say that way. It sounds like a terrible experience is expanding. They got their stuff together, and I am thoroughly amazed. Some may call Disney an evil, terrible corporation.
Like me.
And,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
I could say that. But at the same time, they know how to run a park.
Yeah, no, it's truly the Disney aspect that is still magical.
Yes, they had this immersive quality
Yeah.
in Disneyland, and I experienced it as a kid, and then even as an adult, when I went back, I'm like, oh yeah. When you walk in this ride, it looks like the ride, it sounds like the ride, sometimes it even smells like the ride in that certain area. Cast members are dressed in certain costumes in that area, and I'm constantly amazed by how well they can manage people, manage lines, manage crowds, and make everyone feel like they're having a magical experience.
That's it.
Ultimately, Disneyland is best experienced by the willing. There's something that,
So don't bring toddlers.
yeah, well, just if you sit back and go, impress me, they can. They absolutely can. But if you put yourself forward and say, I'm going to have fun here, I'm going to try, I'm going to engross myself in the stories or go along with the magic, as it were, it is a very rewarding experience. And so, again, like Disney is more fun if you invest in it because it'll give you that back.
You've heard the phrase in Chuck E. Cheese where a kid can be a kid.
Yeah.
Disneyland, a place where an adult can be a kid.
And they are often.
Yes, they are. You really can kind of get that childlike wonder as an adult in Disneyland, which I think is amazing.
Hey, and sometimes you find your fairy tale there in Disneyland. Just saying.
Oh, it's
just
so
saying.
cute.
Just
It is
saying.
very cute.
Hey, did you know Kent's single?
Apparently, I can bring a dowry and marry Rapunzel. So
I'll sell you some tips later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, is there anything else we want to say about Disneyland before we jump into the
we
rankings?
have so many
we have
rides
a
we should
lot
get
to get
into it.
through.
Okay, let's start jumping through them then. And we're going to go in chronological order. if that's
Chronological order, alphabetical if they opened on the same day, starting with the day the park opened, July 17th, 1955. Let's start with Autopia. Joel?
Autopia is in Tomorrowland, and it's a race car track Disneyland attraction in which patrons steer specifically designed cars through an enclosed track.
this is a 5-minute ride, and it's about a 30-minute wait.
Which is going to be a little bit tough considering the amount of exhaust fumes you're going to
Isn't that
consume
crazy?
during the wait.
Because like this is the one we put the kids on, or when you're a kid, this is the one you ride, and it's not scary.
Yeah.
And you're being slowly poisoned.
Yeah.
Because
For
you're
5
driving,
minutes.
you're literally driving on a track. You're pressing the pedal, you're steering the wheel,
Yeah.
but there's a guide bar in the middle, so you can't like steer too far out of the way.
Yeah.
And as soon as you let go of that brake, the car stops. Or excuse me, as soon as you let go of the gas, the car stops. There's no brake. It just brakes when you let go of the gas.
Yeah,
Right.
golf cart style.
By the way,
And how horribly did this ride like age, right?
Yes.
Because when Disneyland opened, this was even before Eisenhower signed the whole like freeway
Yeah.
act and everything, right? And so this was the future. This is why this is in Tomorrowland, right?
Oh, okay.
And so, what?
it is kind of weird, like Tomorrowland, where you can drive a car.
3 years after it opened, everybody's like, well, I drive to work every day. You know?
but for kids, there's something really cool about being able to do that. By the way, fun fact, the name Autopia is a portmanteau of the words automobile and utopia.
Oh, that's obvious. I was expecting to be blown away.
I've only been there 3 times.
Wait for it.
Wait, did you go on it this last time? Because I'm pretty
Yes.
sure this ride does not age with you.
No, we
I think
went-
when you're a kid, it can be appreciated.
Can I just confess something right
Yeah.
now? We went on it, and this is one where we were trying to use the Lightning Lane, the Genie Plus. We were trying to get that to
Oh,
work.
for this?
Yeah, well, because that was what the app said to do at that time. And I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, sure. So we did it, and then I messed up on it, and we didn't get in the Lightning Lane, and we had to wait for it. And then we got on it, and I'm like, that is not worth the wait.
Right.
But then my kids did not want to go back on this one. Like, I had the opportunity, like, hey, we got a Lightning Lane for this one if you want to use it. And they're like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
All my kids, even my little ones.
Yeah. It's just not a thrill ride.
But-
It's nothing real
Made
special
my
about
7-year-old stepson cry.
it. How come?
Why did he cry?
He just couldn't figure out the
mechanics
not
of
bumping
it?
into stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And everything. So he got really frustrated on the ride.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So, I mean, that sounds like we're all tier three.
unanimous tier
across
three.
the board.
Yeah, it is.
This is a
tier
waste.
three.
This is a Tomorrowland waste of space.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is a tier 3 Disneyland ride. Keep that in mind. It's still fun.
Oh, it'd be a tier 3 lagoon ride.
Oh,
I really
Yeah,
don't like it.
My wife makes it fun mainly because she tries to make it like bumper cars. So
you're not supposed to do that.
you're not supposed to, but it is the only redeeming value I have for this ride.
So unanimous tier 3 all around for Autopia.
There we go.
And we're assuming it's going to be replaced here in what, 5 years?
We hope so.
We
crossed.
can only
Like
hope.
when they literally come up with self-driving cars, driving your car may become a novelty again.
Oh, good try. Nope, don't like this one. All right, next up we have Jungle Cruise.
This is an Adventureland, and it's a simulated riverboat cruise that takes you around Asia, Africa, and South America.
Yeah.
It's a very, very concise
It's like
experience.
the stereotypes of the world.
Yes, and you're on this like 1930s little steamboat that goes through the ride, and then of course you have the Disney cast member, the skipper.
right.
They're why people go on this ride.
It's true. This is a 9-minute ride, and it's about a 70-minute average wait time.
Really?
Yeah.
It was not that when I went.
Good.
Of course, I went in January, so
And I will say, among the worst waits
Yes.
in the park, because you find yourself as you're walking through, it's narrow. I'm not exactly a small person, so you've got narrow walkways, and you have to go upstairs,
Yeah.
and downstairs. Like you have to be walking all around.
And when you think you're done, you're not even halfway done.
Nope. It's very you think it's short. It's
we
absolutely
walked
not.
right on this.
You lucky girl.
We went right from the tiki room to here. Oh, we should clarify. We're not doing any sort of attractions that
Sure.
you go in and sit down to like the tiki room. These are rides we're going to be focusing on.
But I mean, the tiki
Moving-
room is tier one.
So
go on.
Being an OG ride, they actually plan to use real animals for the Jungle Cruise. Probably not hippopotami.
Probably.
Hippopotamu.
He probably would have.
How cool would that have been?
That would have been amazing.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Walt wanted to use them, but you figure out like half of those animals are like nocturnal.
He probably saw
Sleeping
Jurassic
during the
Park
day.
as well.
He probably
No,
did.
he probably saw the zoo at Lagoon and went, "Oh no, we
it's
don't
the
want
safari.
Oh, that's a sad tiger.
we don't want that."
It's the safari in the animal kingdom in Walt Disney World.
That's true. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have the skippers there. They have the whole script. It's dad jokes
Now,
the whole time.
is the whole thing a script? Because
I think-
obviously they say the jokes we all know and love, right?
Yes.
I think it's a little bit improv, a little bit scripted, and I think once they get like I don't know.
So here's the history of it. Like originally, Walt wanted this to be like informational,
Like a nature documentary.
Yes,
Here on the
yes,
left
exactly.
we have hippopotamus, also
But-
known as
But
Latin
kind of
name.
like kind of naturally though, the skippers just kind of improv their bits and everything. But then Disney being Disney, and sometimes they love to get in their own way, they decided to script the improv, and
okay.
and it shows sometimes, because especially the last couple times that I've gone on this ride, it's the same script, and I swear like they don't train the skippers as well as they used to.
With comedic timing? Or
No,
what?
because
Yeah.
it just sounds like, oh boy, here's a hippo.
Here's the backside
And
of
I
water.
feel like like Billie Eilish is like giving me this like tour of
She's
the
now
jungle.
Billie Eilish.
She's the
from now
bad
on.
skipper. Duh.
Yeah. I will say this is a ride that is entirely based on, first of all, your love of dad jokes, but second of all, the skipper that you get.
Yes.
It's if you get a mediocre skipper, it can be a disappointing experience. You're
Like
sitting there
Billie
going,
Eilish.
if you're sitting there going, I could deliver this joke better. Like this is not funny.
I did just see a one recently where it sank. The boat sank. It started taking on water, and the people had to get up. And it was like the same right around the time.
By the
we
way, the
went.
river is 5 feet deep.
Yeah, but
It's
still,
right on the
it's-
track.
You'll survive.
You'll survive, and the water apparently is like intentionally colored and
Yes.
cleaned, and so it's not bilge water.
Yeah.
No.
but you still don't want to swim.
I
in
like
it.
this one because it's shaded, and on a hot summer day, like it's kind of comforting.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's
And
not.
you get sprayed a little bit
Yeah,
sometimes.
There we go. I'm going to give this one a tier 2.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Josh?
I'm a tier 2 as well on
Yep.
this. More so, I love going anytime of the day. At night, it's kind of fun. It gives a different
it?
element.
All right.
I think for me, it's the skippers.
Right.
Because I'm like, man, if I'm working here at Disneyland, this is where I would want to be, because I'm like, I could think of like 10 other, jokes that would land much better. So
Yeah.
I love this ride.
Oh, you do?
I love the Jungle Cruise. Legitimately one of my favorites.
So this
I
is a
think of it
must
with
every time you
fondness.
go.
Must go. Much like Josh said, if I ever worked there, I'd absolutely want to be a skipper. One of my good friends, Rob Foray, was a skipper. And
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, he totally
Classic.
worked with
and
that.
he would have been awesome. Right? I would have loved to seen him. But so I've been on the ride with him, and it's a good time. I love this ride so much. However, I'm going to give it a tier 2. It got bumped from my tier 1 because, like I mentioned, the line experience is pretty awful, and it's so skipper dependent. I've had skippers that I literally like shook their hand after. I'm like,
Skipper dependent.
This is so good. This was so much fun. I love this ride, and you did a great job. Because it has such a variety of experience, I did bump it to tier 2. However, one of the things that I love is when I fly to Disneyland, I actually have audio recording of the music that plays while you're waiting in line, including the little announcements. It's like, now for the jungle airwaves, and it makes funny jokes throughout, much to the theme of the ride. So as I'm flying to Disneyland, I'll always listen to gramophone sounding old timey music with a couple of interjected jokes, just to get myself in the mood.
Yeah.
So love Jungle Cruise. However, it did get bumped to tier 2.
Okay.
I feel like this is a Disneyland staple. I remembered going on it as a kid and really enjoying it. Going again with my kids, it was a lot of fun, and we also really enjoyed it. It's not the most thrilling ride.
No.
It's not the most crazy ride. And the animatronics, some of them look better than others.
And it's changed over time, and some of the stuff I will
They've made
miss.
some updates, yeah. But I do think this is a tier 2 as well. It's
Okay.
one where I definitely enjoy it, but it was one of the later ones we went on.
Now we have King Arthur's Carousel.
This is in Fantasyland, and we'll just say these are all opening day, and if not, we'll let you know when we change. It used to have 71 horses and 1 mule. It's now 68. They bumped it down to
And
68.
this is the oldest ride. This was actually built in 1876, and then Walt just kind of bought parts and put it together for 1955.
Well, even in 1922, it was this carousel was operating in Sunnyside Beach in Canada.
Yeah, this is a 2-minute ride, and generally a short 10-minute wait, which is great because you walk in, you see the carousel. It's so iconic. You see the sword and the stone
Right in the front there.
and the kid's like, I need to go on a ride right now. That's probably the one you pick
Yeah.
because it's right there, and the line is so short.
Well, and it used to be there was one white horse.
Yeah.
And then everyone wanted to try to ride that horse, so they ended up just painting all the horses white. But they each horse has like a name, like all of them do, including Jingle, the lead horse. That is Walt's favorite, and this horse has very ornate carvings, which include straps of jingle bells hanging from a breast collar. So if you get a chance to ride Jingle, that's apparently the special one.
And I have seen grown adults get in arguments about who rides Jingles.
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah, no, I have, and it's
That's ridiculous.
it
all
welcome
goes
to
in the same
Disneyland.
path. It all goes in a circle.
Well, I mean, but the thing is there's more history than just being Walt's favorite.
Right.
It's also dedicated to Julie Andrews.
Has a little JA on it, right? On the,
So it's a special horse. I've ridden it, but yeah, it's
Oh, so you won the fight.
yeah.
I've seen
Yeah,
two grown
exactly.
adults. One of them was
You
me.
should see the other guy.
At least it
All
was
right,
a-
so Josh, given that,
I was worried it was a kid.
what would you give this one?
Tier 2.
Okay.
And mainly because, yes, it is iconic. I love the line, 10-minute wait. That's perfect.
Yes.
Compared to other rides
Yeah.
in Fantasyland, that's a great line.
Agreed. All right, Zach, what about you?
Not my favorite, tier 3.
Oh, not your favorite. That sounds like your least favorite. Tier 3?
Tier 3. This is a non-required ride. I only rode it, I think, maybe for the first time ever when I went with my stepkids. Because
Wow.
I,
Because they're kids, right? But there's a charm
I
to
like
a
it.
well-functioning carousel, right?
Sure.
And watching your kids go on it is,
Yeah.
is a
hearing
great
it.
joy.
The music is lovely, but
It is.
ultimately, I'd rather go on other stuff.
We
I
went.
get you.
We went to try to pull the sword out of the stone multiple times, which is right in front of the carousel.
Did you think you were going to get it?
I was so wanting. We had my whole horde of children there, and I thought surely one of them will be able
The
to pull the
chosen
sword
one.
from the stone. None of them did. Disneyland hated us that day.
Oh.
It's only been out once, and it was a couple years ago. Somebody actually pulled the sword out of the stone.
Oh, that's the one, the guy that broke it.
Yeah,
yeah. He
exactly.
jerked it around and pulled it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Disneyland security got him.
Yeah.
No, this is sadly one of the ones that I chose to not go on when my kids went on because I was like, it's just a carousel.
It is.
So I gave it a tier 3. I watched my kids
Okay.
go on this one. I enjoyed seeing them on it, but I did not go on it.
See, I think for the location, it's almost a tier 1 because it is just, you walk down Main Street, you kind of get there, and you're like, this is amazing. But it's a tier 2 because it's still a carousel, but it's a good one.
For me, it's like a Ferris wheel. I don't want to go on it.
I hear
but
you.
I'm glad it's there for the visual aspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally
you
agree.
just need to ride on Jingles. That will change your tearing.
I will say, riding on the carousel with, like a 3.5-year-old child.
Yeah.
That did make it very
And
magical.
all of them, this isn't like Lagoon where some are stationary and some aren't. All of them move, which makes it a better experience.
Next up, we have Mad Tea Party.
In Fantasyland, these are 3 small turntables which rotate clockwise, each holding 6 teacups within one large turntable,
And a
rotating
microphone?
counterclockwise.
Okay. This is a 90-second ride, and there's about a 15
It's only
minute,
90 seconds?
90 seconds.
Ooh.
The song plays about 4 times on loop in that time.
The song. You can call that a song.
Could you imagine being an employee working this ride for hours?
They rotate those employees a lot.
They'd have to. Because you would go
all right,
mad.
my little
You
sugar
would go
cubes.
mad.
But I do like that the line is so short. This is like one of those true Disneyland staples. For me, whenever my family would go when we were kids, it's like, hey, if you get lost, meet at the teacups. Like I have memories because I'm like, okay, and I'll just be
Why
on
should
the
we be at
teacups.
the teacups and not like at King Arthur's carousel?
I don't know. It's a
Right
pretty
there front
open
center.
area as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah, between the teacups. And
I
Matterhorn.
went about 3 years ago, and I'm a little too big for this ride now.
Your legs are a bit long, aren't
Yeah,
they?
I had to go and sit sideways.
Yeah.
You feel
no,
like your legs are like the straws sitting up out of the cup, of the teacup.
Yeah, a little
Those coffee
bit.
straws.
Also, vertigo when you're older.
Not fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I prefer Psycho.
Oh, I see. I see.
They have actually kind of restricted how fast you can go on this ride.
Yeah.
In 2004, there was an incident with a disabled rider who lost their balance and then let go, and then it just started spinning like crazy.
Wow.
And they got injured.
Jeez.
So they slipped from the teacup. But so they have locked it down a bit. There's brakes and clutches, and you can't spin it as fast as you used to.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is probably good because this one gets me real sick. I'm giving it a tier 3 because it is a spinny ride, and this is the other one that I chose not to go on, but let my kids go on.
The spinniness gets me now, but up until the most recent time I went, this is a must ride for the length of the line,
Wow.
for the iconography of the ride.
It is very iconic.
This is a tier 1 for me. It's
Wow.
scraped into the
Wow.
tier 1s.
See, I will take my picture in that teacup just outside the
I get
ride.
you. Yeah.
And then
But you're like, oh, I can't. I'm so nauseous.
I'm actually here with you. It's a tier 1 for me.
Yeah.
wow.
But here's the thing. Is it
what
a
did
tier?
you kick out of tier 1 for this?
I know. You'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. It's a tier 1 mainly because I love riding this at night. The ambiance.
I do get less sick at
of
night.
the lanterns and everything on top.
it's a
and
nice area.
Just that's Disney magic.
I also, isn't it? It feels it's just a little sunken in.
It is,
right?
yeah.
That there's something.
It's
cool
like a
about
hollow
that.
area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I love that aspect of it, but I will bypass it like during the day.
Sure.
Like I don't. It's just another carnival ride. But during the night, that's Disney magic for me.
I agree.
To a T. So it is a tier 1.
Zach?
This is a tier 1.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Joel!
This is amazing.
It's getting me sick.
Why is it a tier 1, Zach?
I did not go to Disneyland until I was 22. The first time I ever went, I was an adult. And I remember
That was just
growing
last
up,
year, wasn't it?
Right? As a kid, you saw every time you saw a commercial for Disneyland, you saw kids running down Main Street with holding hands with the characters, which is not real. And you saw
It is if you try hard enough.
kids on
You get that shot right before security gets you. It's magic.
and you're
Is that you strangling Donald? Duck?
He's chasing Donald, him running for his
strangling
life.
him.
hulking out over here. So you saw the kids walking down the main street with the characters. You saw the kids on Dumbo, and you
Yeah.
saw them on the teacups.
That's true.
And they are just this image ingrained in my mind of what Disneyland is. And then I go on the ride, and you can have a lot of fun with this, even without making it a spinny ride. One
Yeah,
of my
that's
favorite
true.
things to do.
It's a spinny ride even if you don't spin it.
One of my very favorite things to do is to pick a point and to always stick to that point. So
You need
I spend
to.
all of my time like making myself just go in a straight line all
That's
the way
a lot
through
of
the
effort,
ride.
little
It
sugar
is.
cube.
It is.
That's a workout.
It is, but it's a lot of fun. I went on it with my.
You should write a book or do a video like Disneyland workouts.
Hey, look, you're walking miles a day anyways.
strengthen your ankles for when you step on the track.
Do Autopia with your knee.
Yes. So I think it's signature Disney, and is probably the best Fantasyland ride, maybe. But
Whoa.
I have to think about it.
I agree.
I have to think about it.
I agree.
No.
I love it. And tier 1.
Awesome.
Now we have the Mark Twain Riverboat. Honorable mention as well to the sailing ship Columbia. We'll group them together here.
Yeah, we kind of cut that out. But this is in Frontierland. This is a paddle steamer. This is a paddle steamer watercraft attraction ride operating on track. No, they're not actually. The pilot up top is not actually driving it.
Yes.
He can't steer it. It's on a track.
Pilot is not driving it, the boat.
But there is someone down in the steam room who they then radio to, like if they need to stop because there's a canoe coming across or the raft to Tom Stearns Island.
Yeah.
Can
you
slow
believe
it down?
So this is a 12-minute journey, and the boat departs every 20 minutes. It holds 400 people. So kind of if you wait in line, you just get on the platform.
Fun
essentially.
fact: when it opened, they didn't have a capacity limit.
Oh, no.
So they just had a bunch of people on there, and when they all went over to one side to check something out, the boat listed and a bunch of water came on. It's like, okay, we'll lower it down to 400. And then they got stuck in some mud at one part. And
Yeah.
okay, we're going to lower it down to 300. not the capacity.
I always saw this as more of a visual representation of a boat rather than a ride to go on. I'm like, cool, that's a cool feature that they have.
Yes, it's nice to look at.
Yes.
When it makes an appearance in the Phantasmic show.
Yes.
It's always good to see.
Yes.
But the first time I went on this was 2019, and I'm like, why not? And it was cool to see like these back areas of Disney that I was like, why don't they convert this into something better? You know, all of a sudden I become some land magnate.
I'm surprised
did.
they haven't,
Yeah.
honestly.
They
done,
kind of did.
With
Star-
Captain
with
Jack's
Star
like,
Wars
Black
Land?
Pearl in there or something.
More or less. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
You got the railroad that goes around that area, which we're not talking about the railroad, by the way, because it's transportation.
Yeah.
But also...
Yes, transportation, not amusement.
They
ride.
changed the path. I mean, it was closed for some time while they were putting in Galaxy's Edge because they had to change the path.
But you don't really get to sit down on this one. It's not fun. It's just kind of a deviation for the day. And so for me, this is a tier 3.
I will say this. One thing that I really did like about the Mark Twain is when I went to Merriest Nights a couple years ago
The Mark Twain the
during
author
Christmas.
or the Mark Twain the boat?
The boat.
Okay, just making sure.
So during Merriest Nights, they actually had a jazz band that played
Oh, that'd
Christmas
be cool.
music on it. And again, the ambiance, it was at night. It was one of my favorite experiences.
Okay.
And I found out actually later that they used to have jazz bands
Oh, like
or
every time.
bands that
Yeah.
would play on the Mark Twain during
Def
rides in the
Leppard was
early.
fantastic.
So
Yacht rock.
for that alone, plus Phantasmic and how they utilize that, tier 2.
Okay.
Because it is a tier 3.
So it bumps up to tier 2.
Yeah, exactly. So tier 2 for me.
Okay.
The thoughts on Columbia?
I don't think I've ever really seen it out on the river.
Yeah, I've been on both.
Is there a
Which
better one?
is one better than the other?
It's interesting to go underneath in the sailing ship because it's like, oh, look, tiny quarters. But
Okay.
as a taller person, I'm like,
Those are
this
called
is-
dimes, Zach.
But with the sailing ship Columbia, you get less shade,
Okay.
and so it is
Yeah.
a hot experience.
Yeah.
But I'd give this a tier 3. I mean, I do think that it's charming. I love to look at it, but I have no need to go on it. So tier 3.
This is my first tier X.
Oh, yeah. That
I
makes
don't,
sense.
I don't remember going on it. I didn't go on it this last time. I have been on an actual paddle boat in the Mississippi or the Missouri River.
Okay,
I can't
take
remember
it
which one.
easy.
But that was like down. It was actually kind of fun. But then I got kind of boring, and I kind of went, yeah, I've done that. I don't really care to do it here at Disneyland, especially since it's like a 12-minute ride.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to hit ride after ride after ride, that's a big stop.
Yeah.
Which, if you want a sitting break, sure. But I didn't go on it, so I can't rate this one.
Okay.
Now we have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Tally ho! This one is so the original one was in 1955, but then they revamped it, and the one that's there now was in 1983. This is in Fantasyland, and you are Mr. Toad, and you're going on this wild ride, recklessly careening through the English countryside of London and then hell.
You go to hell in this ride.
You literally
We're
do.
saying the word because you
So,
go to the place.
It's the place. We're talking about it literally, and it's literally like there's heat being
Yeah.
pumped in.
Because you speed or something and you get tried and sent to hell.
the judge sends you out.
Oh, man.
Railway tunnel.
So
You
this
crashed in
is
there.
a 2-minute ride, 20-minute average wait time on a good day, I'd say. Website.
Did you guys watch The Wind in the Willows growing
Yes.
up, or The Adventures
All
of
the time.
Think
Nope.
About Mr. Toad?
Yeah.
all the
He
time.
was so annoying.
I watched it all the time, and Winky.
The
and,
thing I love about this, it feels like a high school stage production or like a ghetto haunted house because it's just like wooden boards,
Yeah,
just kind of
it's
you pass
two-dimensional
through
pictures.
them. But the track is fun. I
It
think the
is
track
fun.
is fun to be on, and the cars are cool.
And this is back in the day when Walt Disney was not big on roller coasters. He was like, this isn't going to be good for the children or the elderly. So he did this dark ride, which was a little bit crazy, but
Yeah.
not too crazy.
Yeah. And that burst of heat, especially on a cool California day, like it's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice.
especially for the temperature change.
Yes.
you like it.
Yeah.
So what do you give it?
I give it a tier 2.
Okay.
And mainly just because it is nostalgic for me for Fantasyland. I do like that ride. It is fun. It's not that long of a wait,
Right.
which really helps in factoring a lot of my tiering here, to be honest with you. But yeah, tier 2.
I think it's a tier 3. However, it did barely get bumped. I think it's fun. I think for the Fantasyland dark rides, it is a good time. However, I don't think there's a lot of connection to the IP. And I also feel like it's become a hipster choice. I feel like this is
I get you.
I like Disneyland because this ride is only at Disneyland. You probably don't ride it or know what it is. And I like it.
It's fun.
It is fun, but I have bad associations with it now. I feel like it's a Disneyland hipster thing.
I don't get the hipster thing.
You don't talk to the circles that I do.
That's true.
Yeah, people are overly passionate about it. I'm like, calm down. It's okay. But it did, however, get bumped to tier 3 for me.
Well, let's be honest though, because like anybody past like Gen X probably never watched the cartoon as a kid. So
I did a lot. I did a lot. So for me, this is a tier 2.
Yeah.
Sure.
In fact, most of these dark rides are tier 2s because you know what? It's that nostalgia. Oh, this is fun, but none of them are like thrilling or overly fun. Like I'm once and I'm good. I don't need to go on it multiple times. Except for
that.
maybe one of these.
Yeah, tier 2 for me as well.
Now we have Peter Pan's Flight.
And this one was once again originally 1955, but they redesigned it in 1983. In fact, most of Fantasyland went through a huge revamp in 1983. They completely remodeled Fantasyland and moved it, part of it as well.
This is a 2 to 3 minute ride, and the wait time average is about, I think you need to put a reservation for 3 days.
oh god,
It's always so
It's a
busy.
long wait. If you have-
It says 47 minutes. That's on the low end.
yeah, magic morning hour. You go there, it's instantly
And a
Why?
deceptively long line.
Because you're so close to the other people in line.
And you do this little back and forth switchback the whole time.
Yes.
Why is it such a long line for this?
Because you're boarding a 3-passenger miniature galleon.
3-passenger,
Which is
that's
suspended
generous.
from a track on the ceiling. You're flying through the air. Ow. Hit my head.
But why is this essential Disneyland? I don't get that.
Because it's absolutely fantastic. This is a tier 1 for me. This is the only dark ride I think maybe I've given a tier 1. I love this ride. This was one of the ones I remembered as a kid having that magical I'm flying. This is an amazing moment. And then going out as an adult still had that same feeling.
It didn't feel rickety to you?
No.
pretty good soundtrack, though.
Amazing.
But yeah, when you're
And they
going
definitely
over
improved
London,
it.
it's like, you can fly. You're like, yes, I can.
Yeah. Think of Batman pooping snakes.
Yes, thank you. I do like the depth perception of this ride.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's very clever, and it just tells the story of Peter Pan.
Back on the old podcast, I talked about all the tricks that Disney does, the forced perspective and stuff. It's everywhere, and I love it.
Yeah. So, Zach, what do you give it?
Oh, I give this a tier 2.
Okay.
It did get bumped from tier 1 because ultimately it is a pretty miserable experience when you're on the switchbacks. However,
that was a big downfall
It's-
was how long it was.
terrible.
All day.
All day.
We were watching the app, and all day this had at least a 45-minute wait.
However, knowing that they did build in the game that you can play online,
Yes.
where you look for all the various shapes
My
hidden
kids
around
did
there,
enjoy
little
that,
highlights magazine for you, which does
Good
help.
reference.
It is fun, but becomes a tier 2 for me.
Yeah.
no, that doesn't help at all.
No,
Honestly, I'm going to get some flack over this.
Go on.
this is a hot take.
Don't do it.
Tier 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tier 3.
You go to the end of Wendell Willows
Because
as well.
with all that buildup, with a 45-minute wait buildup, you better wow me. And there's nothing wow about flying over like
Yes, there is.
lights of London or whatever, like
it's
Christmas
so much
lights.
And characters that barely move.
Yeah, exactly.
By
Yeah.
the way, the original plan when they designed it was they were Peter Pan flying through the
Yeah, so
air,
there was
and then
no
guests
Peter.
got off and they're like, "Where's Peter?"
It's a tier 2.
Kind of all over the board there.
A little bit. Now we go to Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Used to be Snow White's Scary Adventure.
Yeah. But if I could go back in time and ride this on the original ride because it looked terrifying.
Go on.
Like you can go back and see videos of like what the original ride was, but this was intended to be the scary ride at Disneyland. And the witch you're going through the scary forest, and the witch keeps popping out at you. And the animatronics back then definitely looked a little creepy.
Awesome.
Once again, this is the ride where it's called Snow White's
Enchanted Wish now.
Enchanted Wish
Yeah.
now, but back then it was like Snow White's Scary Adventure, but you're Snow White going through the ride, and people get off and they're like, "Where's Snow White?" They did try to balance out the scary and appeal to the 3 core audiences of teens, adults, and kids. But this is a fun ride. It's a walk. It's a walk through. It's a dark ride through
I do
Cinderella's
think
story, or
the
Snow White's story.
screens they use and the effects that they have and just a lot of the production design, I think it's pretty cool.
Yes.
This is a 2.5 minute long ride with a 25-minute long wait. I took my daughters on this when it was the Scary Adventure about 8 years ago, and it was a little too scary for my youngest.
Yeah.
She closed her eyes through a lot of it. I'm like, but it's a Snow White ride.
Yeah.
But still, a little bit scary.
The squeaking of the ride vehicle was also very scary. I think the update's good. Personally,
Okay.
There is something visually appealing about it now with all the different visual tricks they use of holograms and lighting. And
Yes.
there's that one scene where the evil, spoiler alert, the evil queen spins around and she's the old hag. And I had to go back and watch a video multiple times to be like, how did they do that? I wanted to figure it
clever.
out because it was
Yes.
clever.
It's a tier 3, man.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Maybe I guess it's when these rides take on the movie or try to follow the movie plot line.
Yeah.
There's just these huge gaps, right? I mean, the guiltiest one is not in Disneyland. It's
Don't you start talking about Little Mermaid.
Let's leave it.
It is the Little Mermaid
right
next
now.
time.
I'm just
Cut it
saying.
out. Shut your mouth, Josh.
I'll shut my mouth now until the next show. But
Okay.
but it's just lame. Like, I'm not going to get on that ride unless it's like 5 minutes before the park closes.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no line.
I only ever get on when you go first thing in the morning, and you're like, I could wait 45 minutes in line at best for Peter Pan, or I could ride everything in Fantasyland twice.
It's true.
Now, guys,
Yeah.
if the line were not an issue, say you were a celebrity who's being escorted around by one of the plaid vests, and you could just walk right up to the front, would Peter Pan get a higher tier?
No.
No, still tier 2.
3.
High tier
Yeah.
2.
But Snow White for me is like I would only ride with my kids ever. So it's a tier 2.
And Joel?
Kent, that's where they do the princess auctioning.
I will be there. Kids are not coming.
I gave it a tier 2.
Tier 2.
Yeah, I put it right in the middle of a dark ride of like, that was pleasant and fun, and I don't need to go on it again.
It's tier 3. Let's talk about better rides, shall we? Storybook Land Canal Boats.
Better rides, you say.
So you're on a boat ride on this one, and you go through a bunch of miniature Disney movies in buildings and stuff.
Essentially, this is Jungle Cruise for kids.
This is where the Jungle Cruise people who are not very good at banter, this is where they go.
This is the emotion.
Here we have the mystical land of Agrabah, where Aladdin showed Jasmine a whole new world.
This is the one where they opened it on opening day. It was supposed to be Canal Boats of the World. They were going to have all these landscapes of all the different places in the world, but they ran out of time and money, and so then it was just kind of some gardening, and they got the nickname the Mud Bank Ride because it was just very little landscaping happening. It looked terrible.
The miniature recreations of the Disney movies, though, pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a tier 3 ride.
But
that's about it. Super boring.
But see, I give this a tier 2.
Oh, why?
It's a tier 2 mainly, well,
By the way,
nostalgia.
I'm with you. I also give it a tier 2.
Nostalgia. Again, like most things in Fantasyland that are outside are much better at night.
Yeah.
Like Fantasyland at night is tier 1 altogether. Doing this ride late at night, there's something magical
You just
about
get
it.
scared of Monstro. That's what it is.
You go through his
Yeah.
mouth right at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Okay, no, you make a solid point there.
I think this ride is charming, and I've had good skippers, but also from the perspective of of a kid or whatnot, it is fairly fun, magical. The little dioramas or whatever they are, they're pretty cool. I like this ride too.
This is the one my kids kept asking to go on. They're like, we want to go on. We want to go on the one that goes through Monstro's mouth, but we never made it. So this is a tier X for me.
Wow.
I don't remember going on it as a kid.
But did you go on Casey Junior Circus Train?
No, tier X.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah. This is one that I thought it was just another railroad, but it turns out it actually is a rideable miniature railroad that has a bunch of little scenes and animated films.
Well, and everyone's fighting to get into the monkey cage.
Yes.
What?
Yep, there's a monkey cage on the train. Actually, 2 or 3, I think.
A couple.
Yeah. This is a 4-minute ride, a 12-minute wait time for this one. And it really is just kind of like a different perspective of the little miniatures.
Yeah, it's going over the top of the miniature ride.
Yeah.
We the last time we were there with the kids, we actually didn't ride the canal boats because we went on the train. So we're like, same stuff.
Basically the same thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just without the music.
I should point out, this one did open on opening day, but it had a bunch of problems, so they shut it down, and then they did some testing and repairs, and it opened again on July 31st, 1955, so a couple weeks later.
I'd rather be dead than go on this one. It's tier 3.
Wow.
What?
Oh, man. No.
I do not care for this one.
Rather
No.
be dead?
Okay, maybe that was a little
strong,
hyperbolic.
man.
This is a tier 2 for me.
Why?
Again, nostalgia. Ride it at night. Honestly, it's the song, right? The Casey Jr. song. You get into it.
And then you go to
It
the,
is a fun song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You cannot help
Now, can't do
but
that as
sing
Donald
it.
Duck.
No, please don't.
How to say what actually?
I don't know how to say words. He has asthma.
I actually agree with you for some of the same reasons. I put the Storybook Canal and the train together kind of in my mind as the same similar experience.
Sure.
Tier 2. I actually have a couple weird connections to this one. So when I was in my last relationship, I went on this ride and you get the celebratory buttons. It was like, I don't know, celebrating anniversary or something like that.
Sure.
And there are cast members try and create magical experiences for the guests. And this cast member who had been demoted from the Jungle Cruise or something was like, I'm going to help them out. So we end up sitting, me and my ex are sitting on the caboose, and we're looking, straight behind.
Yeah.
And we're riding along, and it's like, okay, this is pretty fun. And then they're like, I'm gonna make these people's day. you want to go again? I'm like, sure. Just stay on the ride. We didn't have to unload. People in line looked at us so weird. Like, what are you doing? You're adults.
You junkies.
And I was like, okay, here we go. And they're like, have a nice day. Like, they did us such a big favor. And I was like, wow, that's what is a magical experience. So that's why that relationship's over.
Yeah, tier 3. I'd rather be dead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then fast forward a few years, I'm there with...
It's that bad?
Yeah, I'm there with my wife. And we're waiting in line, and they're playing music, and they're playing the music to A Whole New World. And while we're waiting in line, my wife and I, because we're theater people, I guess, start singing the song. And we're like, my wife's like, we're extra. I'm like, we're not that extra.
You're extra.
We did the duet. We did the harmony lines. We were the worst.
Yes.
But that was way
Were you
more
wearing
fun.
ears at the time?
No, I don't do ears. My hair's too good.
Agree.
I can't do it. So that was my last experience on this, was like hanging out with the kids, and then the one before that was harmonizing with my wife. So I have positive associations with this. I think it's fun.
Cute.
Tier 2.
Fun fact, the couple behind them actually rank at a tier 3 now.
Yeah.
Truly. Oh, everybody was like, these guys are the worst. I'm like, we're Disney adults. Leave us alone. Now we have Dumbo, the flying elephant.
And this came out August 16th, so a month after the opening day, 1955. It's in Fantasyland, and it's an aerial carousel-style ride where you ride in elephants. Dumbo.
A 2-minute ride with a 20-minute wait.
And you can control the elephants, make them go up and down.
Mine was broken.
They were supposed.
Oh, no.
Originally, the ears were supposed to flap, but they just could not get that to work.
Yeah.
And this is the only attraction that can be found at all 6 Disney castle parks worldwide.
It's really fun in Walt Disney World. They have a little waiting area. So they hand you like the Texas Roadhouse buzzers.
Oh.
And then your kids can just go play in like a circus tent playground.
great.
It's great. I mean, come on. Classic Disney, right?
And it's very iconic.
It's iconic. I don't care to ride it, though. My kids liked it okay. They went on it one time. They didn't ask to go on it again. It's a tier 3.
Done.
I'm sorry. It looks cool. It's cool you can ride in Dumbo, but that's about it.
You can take a picture of them.
I'm with you. I'm with you on here. It is a tier 3, and again, it's kind of that same thing with Peter Pan. For whatever reason, if you're not there, like at rope drop, running, like
which is when the park opens. For those that don't know the terminology,
sprinting toward the ride, you're going to wait in there forever.
Sprint, they'll yell at you.
Yeah. So the only time you can ever really ride it as an adult is, again, 5 minutes before the park closes at night.
Which is exactly when we wrote it.
Cool.
We were debating on which ride to end on because there was a bunch of different rides we want to do, and we realized we hadn't been on Dumbo yet. Our last day there, so we're like, okay, let's just plan that for the last ride of the day, and then we'll go see this, cool projection thing they're going to do on the castle, and It's a Small World.
Okay.
Well, we're in line for a half hour for this ride. And then we realized very quickly we're missing the projection thing.
Oh, no.
Because we're in ride at Dumbo. And we were like, what are we going to do? And we were like, well, let's go on the final ride.
Yeah.
So we went on that ride, and I was so bugged because this was the last ride we went on, and it's fine. It's a spinny ride. But you're on Dumbo. It's iconic. I'm giving this a tier 2.
Okay.
Because I feel like it is iconic. It is essential. It doesn't get me too sick. And it was at night, so it was fun. And it was kind of a magical, fitting end for our trip to Disney this last time.
I think this is a tier 1.
Whoa.
It's an icon.
You like rides that go round and round?
I do.
This is a heart choice for you then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an image of Disneyland. You think about the mountains, and you think about the castle, and you think about Dumbo. Like I don't even necessarily like this ride. You can ride probably a better version at Lagoon in Utah.
No, Bulgy the Well's not better.
And this same ride vehicle or this idea is multiple rides across. The flying carpets in Walt Disney World. But it's still good. It's still fun, like classic Disney fun. I've never really waited that long in line for it.
Okay.
I can go on it with the kids. Good pictures. Like it's a tier 1 to me. Just for simply being an icon.
All right. Okay.
It's okay.
Next up is Alice in Wonderland.
And this one actually came out June 1958, so 3 years after the park opened. It's in Fantasyland, and it's a dark ride taking guests through the storyline.
It's a 3-minute ride, 26-minute average wait time.
Now, this one is kind of weird because it was built after Peter Pan's Flight and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride were there, so they actually had to go up, and this is like the first 2-story dark ride where you
I think that's what makes it cool.
go down.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like I always want to be on this ride. Like I think it's right near Teacups, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, I want to get in line for Alice in Wonderland. And maybe by the end it's a little underwhelming.
It is underwhelming.
When you pop out during the day.
Yeah.
like Josh has mentioned this whole time, Fantasyland is better at night. But there's a section where you pop out of the dark ride and you're like, oh, it's the middle of the day. It's really bright out here.
But the production design is top notch in this ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is with like the Cheshire Cat and everything. That's always very fun. This one is also, and this is just my personal experience, but I've been to Disneyland before. I took my kids there, but this was literally the first Disneyland ride my kids ever went on. That will be their first ride, they say, for years.
Did they like it?
They did. And,
Okay.
it was a great kind of start in that way because it wasn't too scary for the little kids. It wasn't too boring for the older kids. And it was kind of a showcasing, the magic of Disney design. And it was that 2-story thing was kind of fun too. But I just think about that often, how just because the app told us to, because it was going to be a short line at that
Right.
point, we went on Alice in Wonderland for our first ride. And I give it a tier 2
Okay.
because I
Tier
feel like
2.
it is fun, but there were better rides
I
after
think
that.
tier 2 as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for tier 2, even though the ride experience for me is kind of a tier 3. I'm giving it a tier 2 because my favorite Imagineer is Mary Blair, who was the art director for Alice in Wonderland. And just stunningly beautiful to me because I just love her work. So that bumps it up from that tier 3 to a tier 2.
Okay.
So, yeah.
This is a tier 2 ride for me. I think it's a fantastic dark ride. I would rather ride this than Peter Pan. I think it's more fun because I think it's a little more.
So it's a step up
creative.
from dying, like Kent would say.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go on some big kid rides, shall we? Let's step outside of Fantasyland for a minute
boy.
and go to the Matterhorn bobsleds.
This came out in
technically
June of
Fantasyland,
1959. It's in Fantasyland.
I mean, kind of.
It's border of Fantasy. It's the mountain that separates Fantasyland
It's
and Tomorrowland.
just outside Fantasyland.
Would you look
but
at
it's
that?
A nice
They're
respite.
shut down.
Oh, why is this ride broken down so much?
So much.
Well, in fun fact, when they were building Disneyland, they kind of tossed the dirt from the excavation of Sleeping Beauty's castle into this pile between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, and it was dubbed Holiday Hill, and it was kind of this picnic area with benches. And the problem is that it just got kind of lesser and lesser used, and
Sure.
then it was started being used as a nighttime lovers lane, shall we say?
What?
Yeah.
Walt Disney
Nice.
was not happy
Rapunzel.
about that. So they decided to put Disney Skyway in there. Now Disney Skyway is gone.
So I always felt like that was a dream that I had because I have vivid memories of being like 11 years old and
And if
going
this-
on. And I went through the Matterhorn. I
Yep.
saw a Yeti. I haven't seen the Skyride since because I call it the Skyride because it's basically Lagoon to me.
Yeah,
And I'm
it is-
like,
it's a cable car that goes
so it
through the mountain.
did exist?
Yes,
Yes.
Disney Skyway did exist.
Until 1994.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
And he ended up building that mountain there, and that's what it was at first. And then he went to see the real Matterhorn, which is a real mountain.
Sure.
And then he sent a souvenir, like a postcard. He grabbed a postcard, sent it back to one of the Imagineers. Vic Green was his name. And it just said, Vic, build this, Walt.
Wow. So there are 2 tracks to this. There is a fast and a slow. The slow one is 2 minutes, 30 seconds. The fast one is just over 2 minutes. And it's about an hour-long wait. You're waiting for this one, and it could
Unless
shut
you use
down.
Lightning Lane.
Yep, use lightning. Unless it could shut down at any time, and that is why I give this a tier 2 because I always want to ride it, even though man, I have a headache afterwards. My joints hurt because it's so rickety.
Been on it lately?
4 years ago,
I feel like it's gotten better with.
has it got better? Okay.
Yes.
So the track is much.
It's an upper tier 2 because I rarely get to go on it,
Yeah.
but I always want to.
And for me, this is a pretty solid tier 1. And for
Okay.
a couple of reasons here. One, there's a part of nostalgia because this was the first scary Disneyland ride that I ever did as a kid.
Okay.
And I just remember how, like, it was a proud moment. Like when I went on that because I'm like, I'm going to be brave. And it really, they do a really good job of like setting up the narrative.
Yeah.
Because when you're standing in line, you hear the Yeti yell, you hear the wind and everything, and then the screams of the other guests.
Yodeling. The piped in screams.
yeah.
They actually pipe in screams like at that part.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that. And then on top of that, the ride experience is much better in the past few years. I love riding this at night.
Have you ever gone when the fireworks are going?
Yes.
It's fantastic.
And at night, it's so great because you don't know where your twists and your turns are coming from,
It's
which
scary at night.
can kind of be bad if you have a bad back,
Sure.
especially when you're in your 40s. But I love this ride. Absolutely love this ride.
Okay.
So tier 1.
Zach, what about you?
I don't get to go on this ride often because it's always broken down. Same thing as you. But when I do, it's really just a thrilling time. I like the addition of the Yeti stuff that they've done over the years. When that works, which it doesn't always, it works well. It's scary. It's super loud when the Yeti's like walking up behind you and yelling. But ultimately, this was bumped to a tier 1 for me. The lower tier 1, literally only because of availability.
Yeah.
Right. If it was
Right.
available all the time, this would be top 2 for me.
Wow.
However,
Jeez.
because it's hard to get on sometimes, it did go down. It was between this and Jungle Cruise. So I put this one in tier 1 because this is, I think, my stepson's favorite ride. When we were going around,
brave.
he's 7 years old,
Yeah.
going through the park, and we're talking about all the rides, and I'm kind of trying to hype him up for the different things that he might be able to go on.
Right.
And he walked by when we were in Fantasyland. He's like, "What's that?" And I kind of explained it to him, and I talked to him about it. I'm like, "Yeah, there's this Yeti on there. He's kind of scary. Like, I'm trying to prep him just in case we go
Right.
on it." And he was like, "I want to go on that one." And he calls it the Mountain Horn. So, I want to go on the Mountain Horn. Can we go on the Mountain Horn? And so I asked him, "Hey, we were near the end of our trip. You can go on anything you want. What do you want to go on?" I want to go on the Mountain Horn. Like,
Awesome.
Okay. So
Okay.
that to me, I've that good feeling, and we were able to ride it multiple times together. And so now I've got some nostalgia with it, in addition to it just being fun when it works.
Yes.
Tier 1 for me.
One of my first memories ever, is the Matterhorn.
Really?
And it's because I was probably about 4 or 5, and we were standing in line, and I heard that Yeti growling.
Yeah?
I heard Harold growling, as they call him. Which, by the way, the old Yeti, they removed him. He's actually in the Guardians of Galaxy Mission Breakout ride. He's in
Yeah.
the Collector's Collection
pretty
there.
cool.
But they have a new one there, and he's much more scary.
Yeah.
But I heard the Yeti growling, and I did not want to get on the ride. We're in the toboggan, like ready to go, and I was like, no, freaking out. So my parents handed me off to the ride operator, and she held me through the duration of the ride. Now, this wasn't like they panned her off. Like the ride
Yeah.
operator said, "I can hold if you're comfortable with it. I can hold your kid." Well, during the ride, and they're like, "Sure." And that's one of my first memories is her holding me. I remember thinking she's a nice lady.
Yeah.
and then being
She
scared of the
protected me.
thing. But I've gone it since then. Also, this is where Disneyland's first fatality happened.
Yep.
Ever. Back in 1964.
What happened?
A kid, a 15-year-old kid, stood up and fell out and died.
Like down the side? Or
That's why they
fell
say
on the
remain
track?
seated at all
They say seated at all
times.
times. Also, the year I was the year I was there, a 48-year-old woman also died, and I won't go into the details, but it was gruesome.
Oh.
And so this definitely has an element of danger to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is. I went on this one twice when we went this last time, and I have to admit, the last time I had to kind of embrace myself, like, okay, I'm going to do this again, because it was a little bit rickety, a little bit hard to function as you're going through this, and
Sure.
it was freezing cold.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
went too.
That makes sense.
I'm giving this a tier 2 though, because it is a fun ride.
Next up, don't get the song in your head. It's a Small World.
After all, this was
Love
built
this.
in 1966. And it's in Fantasyland, and it's a water-based boat ride taking you around the world with a bunch of singing animatronics.
It's 15 minutes long and about a 35-minute wait.
But what a good 15 minutes on a hot day.
Oh, it's so refreshing.
This was such a welcome sit-down time.
This is the best midday ride. Josh
Yeah.
talks a lot about what's good at night.
Yeah.
Small World is best in the middle of the day.
Yes,
Totally.
it is.
And fun fact, this was originally premiered at the 1964 New York World's Fair. That's where it
Guess
started.
what, gentlemen? I found out this evening that my mother-in-law, she's like, I rode Small World in 1964 at the World's Fair.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, that's amazing. Tell me more.
By the way, this song is the most played song of all time.
Yeah, because it just goes on a loop.
Yep.
Apparently,
With 300
all the
audio
time?
animatronic
time.
dolls
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
It was originally going to be called Children of the World. That's what it's been called. And it had like this soundtrack, which was the national anthems of all the represented countries. But when you went through the ride, it was just this cacophony.
Yeah.
Cacophony? Cacophony?
Cacophony.
Cacao.
Bless you.
Cacao bean. But it was just terrible. And so then Walt went to his songwriters, Robert B. and Richard Sherman, and said, I need one song.
You know them from every other Disney song?
Yes.
Yeah.
One song that can be played in a loop, that can be sung in a bunch of different languages, and they came up with this, A Small World. And I'll tell you what, gentlemen, even though this is an annoying song that can get stuck in your head, it's a great song.
It's undeniably
it's not
good.
it's not annoying.
It's just one of those kind of like pleasant tunes that you're like,
Try
"That's a
and
fun
hate
one."
it, actually.
The best, though, is not only is it being sung in multiple languages, but the style of the music changes
Yes.
with the
Yes.
countries, and I love that. And this is such a great ride, and it's a tier 1.
One thing I noticed this time going through too is they added little Easter egg Disney characters.
Yes,
around
throughout.
it.
Yes.
They're a little bit different style.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can
All of a sudden it's
be
like,
on the
"That's
lookout
Little
for.
Mermaid."
Oh, you've got Little Mermaid. You've got Woody
Aladdin,
and Jesse,
Aladdin and Jasmine.
I
it was
like to
fun.
pretend that I'm an employee, and I look over the side of the track at where I could walk around and like prop the dolls and everything like that. I think it'd be really cool to work on this ride.
It is a little bit. You got to check your angle. If you look
Sure.
too high, you're looking straight at like the tile ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
and the lighting.
I catch myself doing that all the time, and I love it.
Got to keep the eye line a little low.
But that's the thing. There's so many different places to look.
Unironically great tier 1.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is obviously for me a tier 1, and this is actually my favorite ride at Disneyland.
Okay.
Of all?
Of all, the AC, during a hot day,
Sure.
that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to Mary Blair. She is my
the
favorite
designer.
Imagineer.
Yeah.
This is her work, and it is just stunningly beautiful.
It's so big.
It's such a great experience. It's something that I've bonded with my nieces and nephews over, taking them on the ride. And then also during the holiday, during Christmas, when they convert this over to a small world holiday, it is
I don't think I've gone.
like I cried.
Really?
Like I went on it for the first time last year, and I actually cried.
I cried on the
which-
Matterhorn. It didn't matter.
Different reasons.
Which only ended up with my niece just laughing at me, but that's another
I
story.
like that you were touched though, because it's a cute, beautiful ride.
Yeah,
let-
and
don't let us down,
just a
Joel.
little quiz bit here. During the ride, during the holidays, Ariel sings Jingle Shells. Yeah, so
There we go.
This was one I mocked relentlessly throughout the years.
Sure.
This is one that I kind of talked down to my kids as we went there, like, oh, yeah, we can go into the small world when we're really bored. And then I went on it and I was like, I'm having a really good time. I'm really enjoying this. My legs feel good. I'm feeling cool. Like the air's coming in. This is nice. And the song was fun. I love seeing all the animatronics. This is a tier 2. Like it was down.
Whoa!
It got down in tier. It was down in tier 3, and then it got bumped.
I
into
love
tier 2.
everything about this ride, tier 2.
I mean,
But it's like one of those. It's like, okay, you have to carve out the time for it.
Good.
It's a welcome break
Yeah.
ride, but it's not like a ride. Like, I don't know. Would I go seek this one out if I didn't have? If I
Every
had
time you
energy?
go, yes.
So yeah, sorry.
first ride.
tier 2.
just 4 grown adult men singing the praises of Small World. There we go.
Baconsale.
Now to the boats that we probably should be more high on than Small World. Pirates of the Caribbean.
This came out in 1967. It's in New Orleans Square, which I'm confused as to whether that's Frontierland
Sure.
or Fantasyland.
It's New Orleans Square.
Kind of both.
This is a 16-minute ride, a 35 to 40-minute average wait, and I would say the best ride-to-wait efficiency. Granted, I don't like standing so close to everyone that I'm spiraling around.
Yeah.
But once you get inside the building and you smell that water,
People
that
talk about
swamp
the water smell.
It is enchanting.
People like candles of the water smell.
I had no idea, by the way, that New Orleans was so close to the Caribbean.
Yeah, right?
But yes, this is a dark ride. You're on a boat. And this actually is because It's a Small World was such a big hit back in 1966, well, 1964 technically, that they said they were going to have this be a walkthrough kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And they said, nope, boats. Boats are what we need now.
I don't quite
Boats of
understand the
the
ride
future.
because you're like in Louisiana and you see people eating to your right and you're like, this is fine. But then you go through this
At the Blue
portal,
Bayou
right?
restaurant?
Yeah, you go through the portal and you're like, I went back in time.
Yeah.
men tell no
And it is
tale.
a fantastic immersive ride.
That is a bizarre intro.
Yeah.
And you're like, this doesn't need to be here.
Sure.
And then when you go to Walt Disney World and it's not, you're like, well, this is lame.
oh, really?
It just kind of gets going.
Wow. This is one I would do 3 times in one day and be happy.
And I have.
Yeah.
See, I love this ride, and it's a tier 1 for me.
Okay, but
But I like
You think it's a
for
little
me,
overhyped?
Yeah, it's a little overhyped, and I always fall asleep.
I have.
Yeah, because it's so calming, especially when you go through like the caverns and everything. You're like, oh,
Especially
the
'cause
AC
and
is
the way they're playing
great.
that-
And oh,
Oh, I get you. I have fallen asleep in that section multiple times. But you know what wakes you up on that ride, Josh?
Every drop?
When you, sure, the drops, you go through and you're listening to, Drink Up Me Hearties Yo-Ho and all of that. You're having a good time. And then the ride ends. And you just play bumper boats for about 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
That is so irritating.
very true.
My neck after this ride. I tell you when it's like, here we're going to go, oh, no, I just got hit again. Okay, we're going forward. And
it's,
the
it's a
one behind me,
pirate life for me, okay?
Which I'll say this, and this is just one of the biggest downsides of this ride. It's a Small World as you're going through it. The song is catchy and it's fun and you enjoy it. I got really tired of Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for me.
Would you rather hear the modern soundtrack the entire way?
No, not as much, but it
Yeah.
really is like the whole
I get you.
ride.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're singing well. Like it's a small world. It's like there's harmonies and it's all fun and everyone's singing together. This one, it's like you got the one guy stealing really, really deeply bass. Thrill Ravenscroft is singing really deep bass, and the guys behind him are kind of like half singing sometimes.
Well, it's funny. I've heard this song more than even Small World in life. So I've probably heard this song more than anything else. Do not know any of the words. Because it's, as you go, drop.
Because it's meant to be saying drunk.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. This is the last ride whose construction was envisioned and personally overseen by Walt Disney. He actually died 3 months before it opened.
Oh.
So he never got to see it realized. But this was the last ride he worked on.
Yep.
And this is one of those weird kind of time warp things, too, where kids, back in the day, this was just a ride about pirates. And then they made a movie about it in 2003. And everyone's like, you're making a movie about that ride?
Yeah.
And then it blew up into a huge franchise. And
Well, they
now
only made
ride,
one movie, but sure. Yeah, that's great.
And then the ride is now based on those movies.
Right.
It's a weird kind of
Kind
circular
They've
thing
walked
there.
some of that back. There actually used to be more. When there was like a fog that would come down.
Davy Jones.
And Davy
Yeah.
Jones and Blackbeard.
never
it's
saw
weird
that.
that Amber Heard shows up now.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah.
Just slaps it right
But
out
this
of you.
is a tier one. Absolute tier one. One of the best.
This is definitely a tier
Okay,
one.
great.
We finally agree on tier one.
This is
Yay.
one that I have to ride. And it's not even like super, like I said, I got kind of annoyed by the
Sure.
song.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. Every time you go, I enjoy this one.
Well, we're on a roll here. Let's head over to the Haunted Mansion.
1969 is when this one came out, so 2 years after Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice.
And once again, this was another one where it was going to be a walk-through kind of attraction.
They actually have the 3-minute pre-show where you are walking through, and then
Yes.
the 8-minute ride.
This has a great queue because you don't know that you're in the queue for the last
They
10
reset you a
minutes.
bunch of times.
Right.
They reset the line in your mind where you
Yeah.
get into a new room, you're like, oh, I'm in a new room.
Right.
New line.
Yeah.
But then they got these omnimovers, these doom buggies as they call them.
So
And
cool.
these are carts that actually turn you so they can point you anywhere they want to make you see what they want you to see at a certain time, which was a revolutionary idea back in 1969.
When I was, I think, 9 years old, maybe 10, maybe 14, who knows? But I was so scared. I was riding this ride with my mom, and I was so scared. She can back this up. In fact, before we started recording, she did.
What'd she call you? Did she call you a pansy?
He was such a wuss.
Yeah.
She said he was such a wuss. I was so afraid of this ride. In my family, we were all there, and I had to go because there was not a nice attendant to hold me when I was 14. and I said, fine, I'll go on it, but I'm closing my eyes the entire time. So I did, up until the hitchhiking ghost. There's that message where they follow you home. I opened my eyes, and I saw in the mirror a ghost in my doom buggy, and I was terrified.
Well, Ken, you were only 4 years old. That's acceptable.
14.
Oh.
No. I was probably 9, but I was so afraid of this. But now, every time I go on, I stare at the walls. I look at every single detail because I want to soak it all up.
It's fun.
I love this. I love looking through the cemetery and being like, I missed that last time. This is new.
There's so much going on.
Yeah.
This is an overload of visual and audio.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is a solid tier one for me. And
Not
for
a
a couple
transparent
reasons.
tier one?
Not a transparent. This was the first ride that my wife and I rode together
Cool.
on the day that we met.
You did go on a ride together.
So we did go on the ride.
Cute.
And
Wait, did you like touch arms?
yeah, well, awkwardly because we just met like
I mean,
20 minutes
that's kind of
before.
nice though.
But
what if the ghost sitting between you?
Yeah.
That mess things up.
well, but then this was the first ride that we rode together as husband and wife. Aww. And we discovered the joy of dark rides. So,
That's why I like the
TMI.
Little Mermaid. That's a good one for that.
You know that Imagineers are like cast members are standing all everywhere in the dark.
oh yeah,
right?
they can see everything.
Zach, how do you feel about this one?
I love Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Right.
It's bizarre. The story behind it is weird. The storyline, don't try to follow it because it's nonsensical.
It's a little bizarre.
and
it's changed over the years.
there's
too.
no throughput storyline.
Right.
It's
Well, in
just
the-
kind of
in
like
the-
we're going to essentially throw everything against the wall.
Yeah, and in the Tokyo one, it's like they don't do the supernatural thing. So it's like this kind of enchanted objects.
With a score from Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
In that one. Don't watch a video unless you're never going to go because it's pretty cool.
Yeah. This, by the way, was originally going to be this like run-down Louisiana manor in New Orleans Square.
Well, it looks like it from the outside.
Yeah.
Well, except for Walt didn't want to have the rundown thing. He said, no, we're not going to have a rundown building in there. So the outside isn't haunted. It doesn't look
Yeah.
haunted. The inside is haunted. He said it's rotting from the inside.
I don't remember. It was based off of a house in Baltimore, I think. The outside.
I had that.
But
he
it's
he went to the Winchester Mansion and was inspired by that. But then I think they did
Really?
design it after a house over
Cool.
there.
Yeah. The story of the Haunted Mansion. Look into it sometime. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I've had the Grim Good and Ghost soundtrack on my Halloween playlist for a long time. I love the music in this one. Never get tired of this one. Sadly, I've been on the Haunted Mansion. I've seen it in its entirety. But my kids, we went there late January, which is usually when they change it. They've changed it back by then. Late January, it's back to regular. It was still Holiday Haunted Mansion.
Darn it.
So my kid, which we love Night Before Christmas. In my
Sure.
home. Love it. And my kids love seeing Jack, and I loved seeing how it had changed because I had never seen that version of it. But my kids have not experienced the original Haunted Mansion. That is sad. And so the next time we go, we are definitely hitting this up. This is a tier 1. I will go on. I want to go on this ride many, many more times than my wife and kids did. Because I'm like, take me back. I want to go back there. It's a short line. It's 13 minutes. That means it's no minutes.
Yeah.
Let's go. And fun fact, the stretching room is actually an elevator that lowers you down.
We should give a not safe for magic warning on this episode.
Oh.
Spoilers.
That's a tier 1. This is straight up tier 1.
Of course it is.
We all
Amazing.
agree?
Yeah.
This is my
Yep.
this is my 4-year-old stepdaughter's favorite ride. She's memorized the little speech at the beginning. She loves this, and she asks us every week if we can go back just to ride this ride.
I love it.
The only downside to this whole ride, though, is that overlay during Christmas. I love Nightmare Before Christmas, but come on, just the
I
original.
love it too, but it does feel like they started in October. It goes from October through January.
So it makes
Yeah,
sense. It's a Halloween
September.
movie.
It's
Sure.
it's September.
through January.
Yeah.
September through January. Which I'm like, if you're going to go during October, you want it to be the Halloween.
Yeah, right. It's
I
the
mean, that's
perfect
true.
Halloween
I get it.
ride, and you can't ride it a third of the year.
So we all agree it's a little too Christmassy for Halloween.
It's a more January ride.
It's great in December because debate on the movie. No debate that the Haunted Mansion Holiday is a Christmas ride. However, I hate to be that guy again, but never changes in Walt Disney World, and it has like 2 or 3 extra rooms.
Oh, what?
Just saying,
Okay.
it's actually better there. Now we have Space Mountain.
Opened in 1977, and this is in Tomorrowland, and it's a roller coaster indoors with space theme, so you can't really see where you're going.
It's a 3-minute ride at a 55-minute average wait time, where you're standing in the hot sun on cement. It is the worst line up until the very
you
end.
guys gotta go in January. We didn't wait in line hardly at all.
What?
On this? At
Oh,
all.
man.
No, this ride was actually improved by the Fast Pass.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, that makes
this,
sense.
like you either have to do Fast Pass or you have to do single rider. Other than that, I'm not waiting.
The
in
queue
line.
is so
Well, and this is one of the
long.
unique ones on this list because this is I think this is the only ride on this list where it started at Walt Disney World and then came to Disneyland.
Really?
after that.
Okay.
So it was at Walt Disney World in 1975 and then it came to Disneyland in 1975. Magic Kingdom has 2 tracks, whereas Disneyland only has 1 track. And this is in 5 of the 6 Disneyland parks.
Yeah.
Shanghai Disneyland does not want Space Mountain.
This is the best ride at Disneyland.
And
I
they-
love Space Mountain.
This
love,
is a great
love,
ride.
Love it. Yes.
This is a fantastic ride. You're giving it a tier 1?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm giving it a tier 1 as
Okay.
well. I absolutely love this ride. It is one of my favorites. The new score by Michael Giacchino is fantastic as you're going through it. My wife did not like this ride. This is probably one of her least favorite rides because
My wife doesn't either.
She couldn't see where the track is going,
Yeah.
so she couldn't prepare her body for like where it's going to jerk around. And so by the end, she was like, "That was just miserable."
Wow.
You can see it in her face on the picture.
Yeah, this is a tier 2. What? Like this? I mean,
see it,
it's
Josh. I could see it.
It is a very
It's
high.
a dark ride,
It's a,
Josh.
I know, but nothing's happening. But it's a tier 2, just barely there.
Are you worried about your head like getting lopped off?
Yeah, but see, the thing is I have been on the one in Walt Disney World. It is so much better.
I agree.
And this is just,
are
it's
you
so
side
small.
Are you side
Stand
by
for a Walt Disney World snob show.
Disneyland, you're side by side.
Or
Disney
side by-
World
so
is
Disney
single.
World.
Yes,
okay.
but you're crammed in because there's not a lot of space in the one in Disneyland, so you're crammed into it. Plus, like their weight limits are more strict than the one in Walt Disney World because I can't tell you how many times when they weigh you right before you turn right.
They weigh you?
Yes, they weigh the cart. I've turned left, and then they apologize. Audio technical
Are you
difficulties.
serious?
What? No, it's true. And they're like, no, it's because we're fat.
Like, I know
we
what's
have to go
happening
back.
here.
They have
Wait,
to put
they
us.
really do that? Wait, so you don't get to go?
No, they'll put you back, but they'll kind of rearrange like how you're distributed into it,
Wow.
just to make sure that
Okay.
I guess you don't derail.
Well, that's probably for the best.
But I mean, yeah, I thank them for that. But it's just not. I've just haven't had many good experiences on this ride.
Wow.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I think when
Love
you
it.
said that, I had to think about it. This may
Love
be
it.
my favorite.
Shout out to a couple of fun overlays on this ride.
When you say overlay, you mean when they change the scenery
they changed a little
for-
bit. So
yeah.
they've had Ghost Galaxy, which is not aged well. Some PlayStation 2 graphics of
Sure.
ghosts, but it is fun, and the music that they play is fun.
Oh no, polygons.
Hyperspace Mountain.
That's
where
when they do the Star Wars
They
one,
do
right?
Star Wars. There's TIE Fighters. There's John Williams music. You go into hyperspace.
that'd be fun.
The
It is-
visuals are pretty ghetto, though.
yeah,
From what I
but
got,
it's-
the version I went on.
It's agreed, but there's something about the music.
Yeah,
playing.
I agree.
And then I just have to mention, because I'm being a hipster on this show, I guess, Disneyland Paris.
Didn't you actually just get after the hipster ride of
I
Mr. Joe's
know,
Wild
I know.
Ride?
I realized I'm becoming that guy. So the one at Paris, so Tomorrowland is more like Jules Verne. It's
cool.
just called Discoveryland.
Yeah.
And the Space Mountain there is based on From the Earth to the Moon. So you actually launch out of a rocket,
That's
or a
fun.
cannon rather. You launch from the cannon, and it's all steampunky.
Now I'm mad at my family. We went to Paris. They wanted to go to the Louvre. The Louvre. I'm like, no, we should go to Disneyland because it's also cheaper.
Yes.
Then the Louvre?
$36 for a park pass at Disneyland. When we went.
36
They're like paying people to go.
It's in a rough part of town, and it's not that popular.
Really?
Yeah, but it's great.
Wow.
Okay.
Next time I see that on Flights from Home, I'm getting it. Not a
Yeah.
sponsor.
Now we have a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Now, if you would have asked me, hey, Joel, was this at Disneyland when you went as a kid? I'd say, no, this is a brand new ride.
Really? Hey,
I
do you
had
have to say
no
it in Southern
concept.
voice? Brand new ride.
I had no concept of this. It was built in 1979, before I was born.
Yeah.
And this is a mine train roller coaster. You're
It's
on a
a-
railroad flying through the thing.
3-minute ride, 40-minute wait. The last 3 rows are the best place to be. This one you also have to pick a
come?
side because then you get the whole thrill of
whip.
going down the hill. Yeah, you get the whip.
Yeah.
and this-
Most roller coasters are best experience in the last couple.
I actually think this one could be good at night. I've only ever gone on it during the day, and I think it's
Oh
great.
no, it's phenomenal.
absolutely wonderful at night.
Is it?
It is so good.
It is.
Probably better.
Because I feel like I'm going through the canyons during the day, and it's nice.
Yeah.
And there's a cool breeze and everything, but at night it's that
At
much
night,
better.
it's fun.
Can't- this
Especially
ride's-
when you go up the hill with the dynamite and everything.
Yeah.
That looks real
Which is
cool
new.
at night.
Okay.
This ride is good all the time.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it is
Yeah.
really fun at night.
This is straight up tier 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're agreeing as well?
Oh, for sure. This is.
Oh, yeah,
I
tier
think
one.
this is honestly my wife's favorite ride.
Also, you have to make sure that you do the goat trick. If you want a great
what's the
experience,
goat trick?
So you get into one of the last 3 rows, right? Because you want to get those G forces working for you.
Okay.
But when you go
Goat
up on the
forces.
second,
Goat
on the
forces.
second, chain hill or whatever, and you see that goat
With the dynamite in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stare at that goat, right? And you keep your eyes on it
Sounds like
as you
witchcraft.
go down, and you look at it as long as you can until you can't see it
And
anymore.
it says your name.
And the G forces
Possesses you.
will impact you more intensely, and you feel it.
What?
Yeah.
Sounds like a placebo.
Yes.
I did find this, by the way. If you have a kidney stone, ride Thunder Mountain Railroad. There was a scientific study done in 2016 where nearly 70% of time after people rode this ride, they passed their kidney stone.
I could have used that in 2014, man.
This is honestly, it's a legitimate scientific study where they.
Honey, I have to go to Disneyland. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm bringing a diaper.
Yeah. But this, and did you guys know the whole backstory to this ride? I had no idea. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
a railroad. And
Right.
thing, but there's like a whole thing about, this mining town that was thriving and then they were cursed and then bad stuff happened.
Yeah,
and
it's magic.
The locomotive is run by a ghost crew. It's just like, it runs by itself.
It's
I was
elaborate?
like, way more elaborate than it needs
Yeah.
to be. This is the one that my kids wanted to go on the most
Yeah.
while we were at Disneyland, and I thoroughly enjoyed it each time we went. This is a tier 1. I highly enjoyed
Love it.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
What ages of the kids liked it? All of them.
All of them loved
yeah,
it,
This
from
was so shockingly,
oldest to
my 7-year-old loved it.
Yeah, we went on this one 3 times. While
Awesome.
we were there.
Right. We've had some big fun. A lot of tier 1s been thrown out. Classics, of course. Let's go to Pinocchio's Daring Journey.
Which, once again, Pinocchio came out in 1940, and this ride came out in 1983 when they completely revamped
It seems like it
Fantasyland.
was built in 1955 based on the production design.
You think so?
Yeah, it's pretty low key, I think. It's a 3-minute ride, 20-minute wait. Josh, how do you feel about this one?
Oh man, gosh, if you listen to the other show, you know I have some pretty strong feelings about Pinocchio in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's a creepy story, man.
It is.
It's weird.
Like when you think about it, there's this creepy old man, Geppetto,
Tom
and
Hanks.
to make it worse, Tom Hanks, and he's making wooden boys that he wishes to be real boys. It's like, okay, how creepy? How much creepier?
Father
does that
who
make?
misses his son.
Who he made out of wood. I'm just saying, Pinocchio. This is a. Do we have a tier 4 on this? Because I definitely would put it there. It is my least favorite ride in all of Disneyland.
Wow.
Yeah, tier 3.
I don't like it at all. Tier 3.
Wow. I just went to tier 2 because it was another one it was a fun little fantasy ride. Although it bugged me at the end, I didn't see Pinocchio turn into a real boy. He was still a wooden puppet sitting on the bed. And I was
Just like the
wait a
remake.
minute.
That's weird. Yeah, it's an absolute tier 3. This is Snow White without the cool effects.
Yeah, there's nothing charming
It's
about
nearly
this one.
worthless.
Yeah,
I don't know why they waited 43 years to put this in the park.
Waste of space.
Ouch.
because it's a bad story.
Ouch.
I'd rather it be another restaurant.
Ouch.
Yeah, I want some pulled pork on macaroni and cheese.
Ouch.
Put a restaurant there. All right. Now we have Star Tours. The adventures continue.
Not to be confused with Star Tours, which came out in 1987. This is the one that the adventure continues, which was revamped in 2011.
This is a 7-minute ride and 35-minute average wait time.
Now, this was one. I mean, this is in Tomorrowland, and this is one of the ones I really remember when I was a kid. Because you get into this little cart that doesn't move, but it feels like you're moving. And there were Star Wars characters around, and we fell down a shaft, and we went to light speed, and it was amazing.
I love the creation of this ride because it's a military-grade flight simulator, and you had one of the programmers, so they have the video and everything. In the original, you're flying to Endor, and they're using a joystick to careen and go through these canyons
program
and
it,
stuff.
yeah.
It's so awesome. And it does feel cool, even though the magic, the illusion's been ruined for us. It does feel cool.
It does.
And now there's so
You're
many
just
different
talking about
journeys you can
the
go
sequel
on.
series?
Well, even that, right? The visuals still feel like a fun ride.
I do.
I
yeah.
think they do.
No, honestly, I remember riding this the first time in the late 80s, and little Josh hated it.
Why?
Absolutely hated it because it felt no different than putting a Star Wars movie on in the little Alpine slide simulator at the 49th Street Galleria.
Oh, I remember.
Local references.
Seriously.
And honestly, it hasn't gotten better. And I think Disneyland kind of doubled down on it's not that good of a ride when they did Smuggler's Run over in Galaxy's Edge.
That's the problem is with Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance, this feels like a piece of it's like a part of the whole ride. But in the other rides, you get more out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still think it's amazing what they're able to do. This was supposed to be, by the way, the black hole. It came out in 1979.
That's why it feels like a Star Wars skin.
It was supposed to be like a black hole thing, but then
Yeah.
black hole underperformed at the box office. They're like, So it became the first attraction based originally on a non-Disney intellectual property.
Yep.
Because they were like, Star Wars is popular.
Like,
Come on in.
we'll own it someday.
Tier
Yeah.
2.
They did.
Tier 2, Kent.
Yeah.
Tier 3.
Ouch. By the way, Boba Fett originally destroyed the Star Tours when they were shutting it down to revamp it. He put a thermal detonator on and blew it up. But you can still go on it after, apparently. But now it has all 9 films. 9 films? There's 9 Star Wars films?
There's only 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's weird.
There's some cool scenes. Jakku's a fun scene.
But there are 21 random segments of the film, and they play in different
which is
places.
cool. Yeah.
So there are
Really-
700 different possible ride experiences.
Really, really bugs me when they cross generations. It's like,
Does
when
it?
Oh,
The nerd in you
They try not
bridges?
to.
Bad.
They try not to. They try to keep it within the.
I was like, we were doing the thing at the end when you're in the Naboo Starfighters of
Yeah.
episode 1, and then suddenly we were at the random rainy planet in Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, oh, this is bad. I
They
hate
both
this.
probably existed at the same time. And I love how they also nowadays they take a picture of while you're sitting there, and then they say, "This is the rebel spy." And it's someone in your group. My daughter was at once. You better believe
She was
turned
the
her
spy?
in. Yeah, I turned her in quick.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
What'd you give it?
Tier 1. I thought this one was blew my mind as a kid that I'm like, we're not moving, but we are moving, and how they make me feel like I was going to light speed. I still enjoy it.
It makes me sick, and I don't think any of the theming feels like Star Wars. It feels like generic robot space,
You're not wrong.
and it's too clean and sterile of an environment. I've always been a little disappointed by this ride. As much as I like Star Wars, I like a lot of the scenes. I do think it's fun, but I find myself getting a little bit sick. So I'll put it right in the middle, tier 2. Now we have Splash Mountain.
Once again, I thought this was way older than it was because this one was released in 1989, and this is in Frontierland, and it's a log flume that you go through the Song of the South story with Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, and Brer Fox, and you go on a big hill.
Remember you. It's a 9-minute ride, a 55-minute wait. But
now, this one was created kind of out of necessity because Bear Country Land was not going well. No one really cared to go there. And so they decided to design this Zippity River Run is what it was going to be called. But then Michael Eisner, the CEO of Disney at the time, said, hey, we want to promote our movie that's coming out here in 1984 called Splash. So we're going to call this Splash
Tom
Mountain.
Hanks again, man. Tom Hanks.
So the mermaid movie inspired Splash Mountain, which is bizarre.
I'm always surprised by how many drops there are in this ride and how wet I actually get.
Man, that first one.
Yeah.
The first one gets me more wet than the big one.
Yeah.
Or it has the kind of times I've gone. This was also one where they were trying to build it and it went way over budget. And they said, what are we going to do? And they said, well, you know what? No one really likes America Sings, which was an attraction with animated animals. We're going to shut that down and just bring all those characters over here and reprogram them, which took like 80 hours per character.
Wow.
Took forever. And then to celebrate the opening, guys, they made an Ernest movie, a television special. Ernest Goes to Splash
I
Mountain.
remember that.
Do you?
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
And but then this became one of the most popular rides at Disneyland.
Because it's essential.
It is.
This is a must ride.
This is an absolutely must ride.
During the day, never at night, by the way, because you're never going to dry off at night.
No.
It's fun. It's fun.
You don't want wet socks or undies?
If you do
What
not
are you
care,
riding in?
Oh, last time I
Don't
got
strip down when you get in the log.
head to toe.
see, I'm okay. Like if I get wet, like shirt, pants, or whatever, I'm fine. It's the socks, right?
It's the worst.
Which is easy. Just bring some flip flops with you.
Or bring different socks.
Just because you're going on this ride.
Change your socks.
Yeah. But this is a tier 1.
Oh, absolutely. This is a tier 1.
Like the line
kids-
is the worst, obviously.
Well, I was going to say we used the fast pass and got through it, and then we went during like times when it was lower. But we went one time, and my daughter freaked out. My two youngest, they freaked out because they got wet on the ride, and they did not want to go on it again.
Yeah.
And then we went the second time; they did not want to go again. So we said, okay, one of them went, and one of them decided not to go, and then that one cried because she didn't get to go on the
course.
ride. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. I am sad that they are changing the ride to Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Because I really do like I love the Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, and Brer Fox stories as a kid. And I absolutely love the way they put that in the ride and the song and Zippity Doo Dah. It's all so much
Scary
fun.
going up the hill.
Yeah. And I love all that stuff.
There will be no song that'll be like, pretty good, show us your bum.
Pretty good, sure as you're born.
I don't think
Pretty
that's
good,
right.
sure as you're born.
Show us your bum.
Actually, pretty good. Island in the Sun. Inside jokes on Baconsale. A good revamp would have been Emperor's New Groove, and you get up to the top and it says, "Pull the lever, Kronk," and then you go down and you hear, "Wrong lever."
Well, they should have called you.
Should have call me Disney.
I think a revamp with Country Bears would have been great.
No, stop it.
Go back to its roots.
Oh yeah, no, go back to its roots. But honestly, again, just like you two, tier 1. I have so many great memories. For me, I love when we go as a family and everybody's like, don't have Josh sit in the front. Don't, because I am the biggest one in our family. But every time I end up somehow getting into the front because it is a better experience.
Yeah.
And you get soaked and it's fun. I've had so many great experiences on this.
And this is the iconic Disneyland picture. Like it's that the ride takes a picture of you as you go down just before you go down the hill, and you get that classic log going down and everyone freaking out picture. I've seen your guys. That's quite
ridiculous.
funny. It's one you need to go on when you go to Disneyland. I hope it stays that way.
I think it will. I'm very hopeful. I love Princess and the Frog, so
It's a good ride, and I'm looking forward to seeing Dr. Facilier in it, but it's just not going to be the same.
Zach, you've been pretty quiet on this one. Oh, I knew it.
I don't like this ride.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you having fun on Casey Jr. Train?
I don't like this ride.
Don't want to go on Splash Mountain?
I don't like getting
You
wet.
can sing on this one, Zach.
Ultimately, I don't like getting wet.
Yeah, I get that.
The drop.
It's because your hair is so nice, right?
The drop is. What am I going to get my ears wet? No,
You're not an ears guy. You told me that.
I know. The drop is fun.
Yeah.
But I really like the laughing place scene right after. I think a lot of it that gets forgotten. I think that's a really wholesome and heartwarming moment. It's good. ultimately, as consistent with a lot of my scoring, this is an icon. And so, I mean, it deserves something. For me, I don't ride this ride. I've been on it a couple times.
Wow.
I really don't like going on it. It is never in my plans. Wow. I am not sad to see it go, but it is an icon. I'll give it a tier 2.
Okay.
How dare you?
Wow.
That was a shoe-in for a tier 1 agreement.
No, overrated.
Zach, you're off the show. I was going to say, Josh, you're on the show.
Oh,
All right.
Great. Now, this is a fun one. Remember, we're going chronologically here. Gadget's Go Coaster.
Oh, it's not shut down?
Which came out in 1993. Oh, no, it actually is. I was going to say it's being reimagined right now and will be reimagined as Chip 'n Dale's Gadget Coaster, which is totally different from Gadget's Go Coaster.
What I didn't realize is this is like I got on the ride. I actually rode this during one of the Halloween parties.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've never been on this, and there's 0 wait, so let's go for it. I didn't realize it wasn't Inspector Gadget.
Oh.
I was like, from
no,
Chip
it's
'n
Gadget
Dale.
from Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Gadget's super hot.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
No.
No.
Super hot. Come on.
Anyway, this is a junior roller coaster. Speaking of things, a junior roller coaster. And Ken, you want to give the time for this one?
Time me on me saying tier 3. Oh, it's over because this is a 1 minute ride, maybe 47
it says
seconds.
44 seconds is what it says. Shortest attraction is Disneyland.
It is sad.
I watched a video of this being
Yeah.
like, okay, because here, Tier X. I didn't go on this one
Yeah.
because Toontown was closed.
Right.
And I watched the video and I honestly, one of those, it's over?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
wasn't even riding the ride. I didn't wait in line. I just turned up a YouTube video.
This makes Puff the Magic Dragon at Lagoon seem like a luxury experience.
Truly. Tier 3 all around?
Yeah.
Except for Tier X for you, Joel.
Tier X for me.
Yep. Tier 3.
All right.
Now, staying in Toontown, because it's recently opened on our timeline, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin.
I already said Toontown was closed while I was there, and I pulled my brothers and been like, did we go on this one? And had a real clear memory of it.
Yeah.
So I have to give this one a Tier X as well. This one, by the way, opened in 1994. It's in Toontown, and it's a dark ride based on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which came out in 1988.
It's zany. There's a lot of neon going on.
pretty
It's kind of like
madcap.
Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any nostalgic. I like the movie Roger Rabbit, but with this ride, I don't have nostalgic ties. So it's a Tier 3 as well.
Yeah. I've only done it twice. And honestly, it's kind of annoying to ride. Plus, the way that they came up with this ride, I don't know if you heard this, but they essentially took a teacup and they put it on one of the ride vehicles of Pinocchio.
and said, that's a ride.
And bam.
Oh.
So it's nothing high tech or
Sure.
anything like that. And it's just, I'm surprised that it's still around because well,
For now.
Mickey's Toontown should just go away. But that's a discussion for another day or for another show.
Right. So, Zach, what do you think?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Nah, this is a skip for me.
Yeah, totally.
I actually think all of Toontown is a skip.
Wow.
Thank
Really?
you.
I don't like it at all.
My girls liked going into the houses, like Mickey and Minnie's
Sure.
house, but
Yeah.
that's about
I love
it.
pretending
Yeah.
like I got my head crushed by a safe. I got a picture of that.
Yeah, it's all good and
Yeah.
well. Like I said, I went to the park for the first time when I was 22, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm 20 years too old for this place.
Right.
It
Definitely
skews
skews younger. It definitely skews younger.
I'm hoping some of the updates and changes might be good, but I mean, just everything down to the art style itself is from an era of Disney I don't care for.
Right.
Cartoon era?
Well, it's just the way that the cartoons are drawn feels distinctly like mid 80s, whenever. And I just didn't like that era so much of the cartoons themselves. Now, if they were like, yeah, we're going to make the whole thing black and white, and we're going to go like,
That'd be
So
cool.
really
Mickey's
cool with-
Runaway Railway, which just opened. You're excited to go to that?
Yes. See, that sounds interesting to me. And finally, for this round of the show, we have Indiana Jones Adventure.
This came out in March of 1995. It's in Adventureland, and it's an enhanced motion vehicle dark ride based on the Indiana Jones film series.
This is nearly 11 minutes long and a 50-minute wait time. But the line, everybody.
Ugh.
Hey, whoa. The most immersive line.
Oh, okay,
Probably at the
that-
park.
Well, this is the start of the immersive lines.
Yeah.
And Disney has since gone back and either continued to do this, done it better, or even in some cases updated rides to just change the queue.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, that thing we did on Indiana Jones out of necessity, that was pretty good.
What's your beef?
But when this opened, it took you like 3 days just to get to the ride itself.
Yeah.
And it feels like forever because you're essentially going under the railroad to get to the show building.
Yeah.
It's not worth that wait. Again, this ride experience,
You don't like puffs of air going past your ears?
it was enhanced by the Fast Pass.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And this is
So-
one where you have 3 different 3 different rides you can go on as well. Like as you get in there, it's like 3 different tracks or experiences you can do.
And each one will like wreck up your back.
I mean, that's true. It's really rickety.
Ooh.
But it's cool. You look over the side of the Jeep and you can like see into a chasm. I think the whole thing feels cool. You feel the heat in this one. Joel, did you like this one?
Funny you should ask. When the last time I went to Disneyland before this year,
Yeah.
I was, like I said, 14 or 15 years old, somewhere around there. And this ride was being built.
Oh, wow. That sure dates you.
Yeah. And then I was so excited because I was like, here we go. I'm going to go to Disneyland again with my kids. I'm finally going to go on this ride that I never got to go on when I was a teenager. And it's closed.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
closed. I didn't get to go on it again. I missed the opportunity. So I've never been on this ride. It's
We'll
a
go.
tier X from me.
We'll go.
When is it going to open again?
I don't know.
They're doing some major refurb to it. So
I think they're adding elements of
Thank
Valid Destiny
yeah.
to it.
Goodness. This
Because
isn't-
it hurts you?
This is an old and busted ride.
Uh-huh.
I think it was.
Old and busted. It's almost as old as you are.
And it's not like its body doesn't work just like mine. Like it's I feel like this thing has fallen apart over the years because
Wait,
I
we're
think
talking about
it is
the ride still?
Yeah, both. I think this particular attraction is so technical that there's a lot that can go wrong, and it does, and it's subtle things. There's another ride in California Adventures that's the same way because there's a lot going on. A lot of little things fail on this ride, and it starts to add up, and you start to feel it. I felt like the ride vehicle. Its movements have changed. It's just not as exhilarating as it might have used to be. So I don't really care for this. I don't need to ride it, but it is a masterclass in theming. Yeah. And for that, it must be respected. The music's great. Obviously, I love Indiana Jones.
The
and
boulder effect is great.
The boulder effect is amazing. So I still like being there. I just, every time I get off and go, overrated. Tier 2.
Tier 1. It's a tier 1 for me.
Tier 1 for me.
Yeah.
What? You don't seem very high on it.
You really didn't.
No, it is very low tier 1, but the theming itself.
Yeah.
And just how I enjoyed it as a kid because it still kind of scared me.
Sure.
It does feel jerkier, probably because I'm in my 40s now.
Right.
And my back goes out, doing whatever. But I love it. I love it when it works. It works.
They've done some scene updates over the years and some little things here and there. I look forward to hopefully some full repairs on this ride, a little bit of an update. I really do think it is a staple. It shouldn't go anywhere. But it's just not my favorite.
Well, there's only like 2 rides in Adventureland anyway. We might as well have this one, right?
Yeah.
But I also look forward to riding this one. Day.
You should. Well, I also have a little bit of beef because I lost my cell phone on this ride.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Was
because
it in the pouch or is it in your pocket?
it fell out of my pocket. Ooh, that's my bad.
Yeah, this ride really does whip you around.
Right, but it was actually kind of fun. I recovered my phone, but it did a lot of like tracking and calling and reporting to Lost and Found, and they had to sweep the track, so it took like a day. But I lost it on the last day of a 3-day visit, and like the next day I was leaving.
Yeah.
And so it was really like pressuring, hey, can we find my phone, please? Can we go get it? Whatever. And so I called it in the middle of the night, and like a service cast member picked it up. Hello? It's like, oh, they don't talk to people normally. Hey, this is my phone. I lost it. It's at Lost and Found. Click.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was like, but I got it back. I got my phone back. So that's good. And with that, we are done.
There it is.
Beefy
Well,
tits.
I was going to say yes. Yeah. Whew, I was going to say it's all the classic rides. I guess
Near
you can
2
call 'em.
hours of classic Disneyland.
Yeah. What do we agree on, by the way, Zach?
Let's look at it. All right, we have unanimous agreements 5 times.
That's it.
For good
Okay,
and
so
bad.
That's not bad. Okay, let's talk about the bad first and get that out of the way. Well, Autopia, we all
Yeah.
gave a tier 3.
fair.
It's the lowest scoring on our list. For some reason, Joel kind of likes Pinocchio. Otherwise, that would have been
Sure. Yeah.
The
tied
rides
as
are
well.
fine. They're simple.
Now, the most mid apparently is Jungle Cruise. We all gave it a tier 2. I love it, but
But you gave it a tier 2.
I do. I feel.
can't
bad
sit there and
about
say,
that.
"I love it."
I regret my list. I'll be honest, but it's fine. We have unanimous agreement on 3 tier 1 rides: Pirates, Haunted Mansion, and Big Thunder
Okay.
Mountain Railroad.
Who killed space?
Josh
I did.
and I killed Splash.
No.
But I'll be
You guys
honest,
hate the mountains.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I think our top 3 are the top 3. I love them.
Oh yeah.
Well, and let us know if you agree with that on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We want to hear your ratings of these Disney rides as well. Once again, we're only doing like those 24 until about Indiana Jones. Anything built after that, don't count it yet. We're saving that for another time. But Josh, we want to thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Josh.
We appreciate your enthusiasm for Disney.
Oh,
and
thank
your
you.
knowledge. Is there anything you'd like to plug here at the end of the show?
Well, my other show, The Other Show.
Indeed.
That I do with my friends Spencer and Kenny.
Oh, hi.
And then also the Party in the Back, which I do with my friend Coach Blue. So make sure to go check those out. And then you can also hit me up on the socials at Josh Walla. So
Cool.
Love it.
Great. Well,
thank you
for being
again.
here.
thank you.
But before we go, we want to thank some patrons in a few categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which has Ryan and Marley, Lady Terry A. Finley, Alicia Bass, Braden Winterton, Jennifer Kilkowski, Scott Sprague, Adam and Rachel Crump, Sir and Madam Hicks, Rocky and Steph, Shannon West, Andrew Dancing Through the Fire, Casey Cummings, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Dave Kelly, Angela Plotz, Debbie Foster, and Briggs is Hot. Thank you for being in the I Am the Listener tier.
Yeah.
And we also want to thank our Bacon Council. We've got Nicole Deke Hale, the one, the only Chris Anderson, Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, Star Wars expert Kyler, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Glow Clendaniel, Johnny English the Brick, the other Josh,
Hey!
and Beaker.
Thank you, patrons. You are the pirates to our Caribbean.
Caribbean?
You are a splash to our mountain.
Nope.
You are the big thunder to our mountain railroad.
Sure.
But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page or visit at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. And while you're doing that, visit tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. Please be a billboard of Baconsale. We would love that. And if you like the show, you like what's going on, and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You can get all sorts of benefits, including access to behind-the-scenes content. I'm sure Joe will post his notes to something soon. I don't know
This one.
what's going
Yeah.
on. This one. There
This
we
one
go.
is-
Josh has 10 pages.
Patreon.
Yeah.
We should put those there.
Yeah.
He's probably got better notes than I do.
Patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate.
If you do pay enough, you can marry one of the cast members who's dressed as a Disney princess.
What
Wait,
tier
what?
of fast pass is that?
Which princess?
Any of them.
What? Really?
Yeah, Ken, have you not taken advantage of the Flynn Rider pass?
What?
And rides.
the whole time.
No.
boy. Oh, boy.
That was Donald Duck spitting out Listerine. It's not an attraction.
Ew, I was attracted to it.
So California Adventure's an afterthought on the show, too.
Tomorrowland, where you can drive a car.
Stereotypes of the world.
That's a sad tiger.
We don't.
Oh, look, tiny quarters.
Those are called dimes, Zach.
Why don't you do yours? Because you're
We're
good?
making fun of yours.
Mean.
I like Disneyland because this ride is only at Disneyland. You probably don't ride it or know what it is. And I like it. You can fly. You're like, yes, I can.
Yeah. Think of that pooping snake.
Don't you start talking about Little Mermaid.
Let's leave
You
it
gonna
alone.
stop
Little
your mouth
Mermaid
right
next
now?
time.
I'm just
Cut it
saying.
out. Shut your mouth, Josh. We're not even past opening day.
Gosh.
He has asthma.
Are you
More
wearing
fun.
ears at the time?
No, I don't do ears. My hair's too good. Done. Just 4 grown adult men singing the praises of Small World.
I always fall asleep, and we discovered the joy of dark rides.
Honey, I have to go to Disneyland. I don't want to talk about it. Pretty good. Show us your bum. Get your love.
Get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love now. Oh, crap. This is going to the end.